Okay, I just said like tons of things that was really cool, and I'm going to start over, all right? What's up, everybody? Sorry, we had a technical difficulty there. We got it resolved. Wanted to let you guys know we're going to have a great night lined up tonight. We've got Allison coming on. She is a breast cancer survivor and a therapist. And then following that, around 8:15, will be Brian Tichy, who is a drummer. He's from Whitesnake, Ozzy, Billy Idol, and Gene Simmons Band. Again, sorry about that technical difficulty at the beginning, but we've been talking about a little bit, at least to myself, I have been, about Drumathon 2025 coming up, and I wanted to share with you guys the first view of our t-shirt from Drumathon 2025, which is right here. This is our brand spanking new t-shirt that will be available at Drumathon 2025 coming up November the 2nd at Legacy Hall. It's Lexus Box Garden at Legacy Hall in Plano, Texas. November the 2nd, we're going to have tons of celebrity drummers out there. Drummers from Luke Combs, from Lenny Kravitz, from Jason Aldean, from Ace Frehley, from the Buddy Rich Band. Tons of amazing drummers are going to be out there. And you have an opportunity, guys, to come out and actually get up on stage and jam with these drummers. So please be sure to come out. It's going to be a killer event. We're going to have live music from that 70s band, from Rock Candy, the official breast cancer stick band, and from Rockaholics. They're doing a big all-star jam at the end of the night, so be sure to come to that. All right, I'm going to say something again that I said earlier, but no one could hear me, and that is, if you're on TikTok, man, all of your gifts, all of them, will go towards the cause, man. It'll go towards breast cancer stick it, which raises funds for mammograms, research and trials, and for financial assistance for breast cancer treatment. So give all those gifts, man. Give all those gifts. I got to give a shout out right now to Brian Bass, or Bass. He'll have to tell me which way it's pronounced, who is an awesome drummer on TikTok, who raised tons of funds through Drumathon. He was actually our top fundraiser, and he's going to be coming to town for Drumathon November the 2nd at Legacy Hall. So, man, Brian, thank you so much, man. We also had Twitch. She was our second place drummer, and then Rosemary in third place for all of our top fundraisers. It's so awesome, man. We raised over $46,000 online, and when we do the event, we'll raise even more. Our goal overall is $75,000. So again, let those gifts come flying in. If you want to donate directly to Drumathon, you could go to drumathon.org/donations. That's drumathon.org/donations and donate there. There's also an opportunity if you want to go to, I believe it's drumathon.org/fundraisers. If you go there, you can pick a fundraiser and donate to their page. I highly recommend donating to my fundraising page because it's mine. That's why. Dig it. All right, I'm going to show you guys a few other things. If you're watching right now, be sure and post something in the comments so we know you're there. Let us know, like, something silly. Like, what's the temperature where you're sitting right now? It's like maybe 75 degrees here in Dallas, Texas. Super nice out. Had the convertible out this evening and checking that out. I'm going to show you guys some stuff that we got in time for Drumathon. And these are actually available online as well. So we have these really cool lapel pins. Let me pull one out. Check it out. Want to give a shout out. I'm going to see if I can get it to focus. Focus, 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 focus. We'll do it right there. So it's a lapel pin of Breast Cancer Can Stick It logo right there. And it's actually going to be available at Drumathon. We also have it available online at breastcancercanstickit.org, so you can check it out there. But we have these, and then we have ones that also say Survivor, Warrior, and Drummer on the underneath side. So be sure to check that out online. All right? Super cool. All right, again, guys, if you're just now joining, be sure to share out the broadcast. We're going to have a great time tonight. While I'm at it, guys, I need to point out that we are actually going to be raising funds through the date of Drumathon, and we're going to open our auctions in 2 days. That's in 2 days, man. Drumathon.org/auctions. Drumathon.org/auctions. All of our auctions are going to open up, and this is another way we can raise a ton of funds and fight breast cancer together, man. I'm super excited about that. All right. Coming up here soon, we'll have our guests joining. I do want to take a moment, if anybody has any questions about the organization, to pop them into the comments and let us know. I'm going to see who's watching right now and say hello to some people. Let's see. I see people on right now. There's Sean. Sean Nichols is in the house. What's up? Maureen is here. What's up, Maureen? Dakota's in the house. What's up, Dakota? Brian Tichy will be joining about 8:15, and we have Allison joining right around 7:30. So be sure to tune in. Oh yeah, and Sean is trying to pimp out his fundraising page too, so check that out if you will. All right, hey, so I've been talking a bunch about Drumathon, and I want to take a second to spin a little bit of a video here that shows you all the drummers who are going to be involved this year. I also want to remind you that that 70s band is going to be playing at the event. We're also going to have Rockaholics hosting an all-star jam at the end of the night. All right, so check this out real quick. This is going to show you all the celebrities who are going to be at Drumathon this year. Hello, welcome back. I hope you guys enjoyed that. A big shout out to Phil Verone for all the work that he did on our videos, announcements, and things like that. Super awesome. I'm just making sure I'm not locked up because it looks locked up over here. I'm not locked up. Yay. Okay, awesome. And a big shout out to Dro's Hair Salon for my pink hair. I had to say that. It's pretty cool. All right, guys. So again, Drumathon coming up November the 2nd, Legacy Hall, and your gifts on TikTok are going towards fighting breast cancer, so be sure to pump those in. If you're new to the broadcast, my name is April Samuels. I'm a drummer out of Dallas, Texas, a breast cancer survivor, an author, and the founder of Breast Cancer Can Stick It, an official 501c3. We've been a 501c3 since 2013, and this year's Drumathon is going to be our 11th Drumathon, and we've raised over $450,000 through Drumathon, so it's a super, super huge big deal. Our largest fundraiser, and it is our most fun and inspiring event too. And we have some time during that event to actually honor the breast cancer survivors and warriors that are out there. We're going to be doing something really special this year that hasn't been announced. So be sure to come out. If you are a breast cancer survivor or have a breast cancer survivor or warrior in your life, you got to come out, bring them to the event. Be sure you get there early because some cool things are going to happen fairly early in the day. So we start the show around noon and it'll end around 7. And then from 7 to 9 p.m., we will have our after party. So hang out for that. And I got to tell you guys, this is super cool news. This happened just today. This just in. Dallas Mavericks drumline is going to be playing at Drumathon this year. Dallas Mavericks drumline is going to be playing at Drumathon this year. So be sure to come out. It's going to be an amazing event. And I can't stinking wait, man. Super excited about it. We're going to have a lot of fun. Trying to think of other things that I might want to mention about Drumathon this year. I know that I mentioned Drumathon like 500 times, like Drumathon 500 times, maybe 500 times about Drumathon and Drumathon 500 times Drumathon. Can you tell I'm excited about Drumathon? Drumathon, presented by Lexus Box Garden at Legacy Hall in association with Roland. So big shout out to those sponsors too, okay? So be sure and come out to that. And again, this show is the third Tuesday every month. So be sure to tune in and tell your friends about it. Just by being here, guys, you are helping raise awareness about this organization and about this cause, and we're making a difference together. So it really means a lot. I think I started to tell you guys earlier that this is actually the most we've ever raised online. We've raised over $46,000 online this year. That's the most of any Drumathon ever in the past as far as what we raised online in advance of the event. Prior to this, I believe it was about 43,000 that we raised online. So hitting that 46,000 mark is huge. And I got to give a huge shout out of thanks and gratitude to Brian Bass, who was our top fundraiser. And dude, you're the one who pushed us over the top, man. You came out of nowhere and just blew it out of the water. So amazing. Oh, another thing I got to tell you guys is I am going to be doing an interview with Drum Talk TV tomorrow. So I'm not sure if that's going to be live or if it's recorded, but either way, please keep an eye out for that on Drum Talk TV. Love my buddy Dan Schinder. He's amazing. In fact, he started his company within a year of when we started our nonprofit. So we met like right at the early stages of both of our careers in these two companies and organizations. And so it's super cool to have that come full circle and be back on his show again. All right, I'm going to check my comments again. See what's up, man. What's up? Sean's still in the house. What's up? All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then here in about 10 minutes, we're going to have Allison, who's a breast cancer survivor, and she is a therapist. We're going to talk about all kinds of amazing things, and you guys are going to really be grateful for hearing her story of courage and inspiration. All right, so check this out. We're going to talk about our volunteers right now.
Hi, my name is Athena Jahono.
Hi, I'm Bill Fenton.
My name is Chip Heller.
My name is Christy Joe.
Hi, I'm Christy Johnson.
My name is Laura Sansoni.
Hi, my name is Mandy Fenton.
Hello, my name is Milan Davis.
My name is Patrick Stone.
I'm Ruth Fox.
Check it out. There's this killer new way to help raise funds for breast cancer can stick it by shopping at Kroger. Simply sign into your Kroger account online, then go into Community Rewards on the left-hand side. From there, search for Breast Cancer Can Stick It, then select Enroll. That's right, you shop, Kroger donates. Enroll with Breast Cancer Can Stick It today.
How does breast cancer present? What should we be looking for? Does it always present as a lump, like a golf ball or a pea? Not necessarily. If we did feel something like a BB or a pea or a hard grape or a golf ball, of course we'd want to bring that to attention. But breast cancer can present as a swollen breast that's kind of slightly pinkish, might be a little cellulitis, for example. That could be a presenting sign of breast cancer. And then other breast cancers just kind of present as a thickening in the breast, kind of a rope-like area of some thickening that just doesn't go away. And so the bottom line is that if you feel your breasts have changed at all, just bring it to attention. Just go in for an examination, and let's err on the side of getting a mammogram and ultrasound.
Hi, I'm April Samuels and I drum. It's true, mostly drum. Over the past 7 years, I've had fibrocystic breasts. And so I've been going for ultrasounds every 6 months for 7 years to try to keep an eye on, watch out for breast cancer. And unfortunately, October 26th last year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. At that time, pretty much stopped my life. I stopped drumming completely, stopped playing. I was playing with lots of bands, probably 5 or 6 bands. Stopped that completely and just focused on my health. It was a very aggressive form of breast cancer called triple negative. Decided to be aggressive right back. Had a double mastectomy on November 15th. Went through all that, very, very painful. During the port installation on December 15th, accidentally punctured my lung. I was hospitalized for 5 days with that. And on December 28th, started chemotherapy, which causes lots of side effects. One being my eyes water a lot, so while a lot of this hasn't been fun, I'm not crying right now. But another thing is, got to lose my hair with that, so I kind of look like this now. It's really put my life into perspective. You know, you get to stop and listen a lot more. I had been drumming so much and paying attention to that primarily, where life was really just going by really fast. And so when I put everything on stop, I really was able to listen and figure out a lot of things, and my life has really been put into perspective. I felt an enormous urge to do something, you know. So the idea was to come up with a t-shirt design that would be fun and different. And since I'm a drummer, I came up with the idea of breast cancer can stick it, and sent it off to a friend of mine and had her come up with the design. Literally within, I believe, 10 days of being diagnosed, I decided that I wanted to be the biggest advocate that I could in the fight against breast cancer. And I came up with the slogan, breast cancer can stick it, combining my passion for drumming and my passion for fighting breast cancer, and came up with that slogan. And I had my friend drop a little logo and everything and started selling t-shirts and raising funds in the fight against breast cancer. And then this year we're doing a big thing called a drumathon, and it's going to be our annual walk, if you will. But it will be geared towards drummers, but anyone can participate in it. And we're hoping to raise between $50,000 and $75,000 from that one event. So, I mean, it's just growing bigger and bigger, and we're making a bigger dent in breast cancer each day, really.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We're gearing up here for our first guest of the evening. We're going to be bringing Allison on here in just a second. Let me get her all set up, man. 1 second. We'll get her all set up. Hang on real quick, everybody. 1 second. All right, guys, we're going to bring Allison onto the broadcast right now, almost in just a second, sort of, kind of, almost. 1 sec. Let's see here. 1 second, y'all.
Okay.
Sorry, guys, we're just getting her set up on the screen. Give us just a second. We're almost there. Hold on, everybody. This one here. All right, I think it's happening now. I think it's actually going to happen. our first guest of the evening. Allison is here. How you doing, Allison?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. So good to see you. I appreciate you making it to the show this evening, man. Really do.
I really appreciate you having me.
Well, we're going to share a lot of your story. I wasn't told that there was anything off limits, so I'm going to just dive into the whole thing here.
Okay.
So I know that you are a breast cancer survivor. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you learned that you had breast cancer?
Okay. I am in my late 40s now, and I have done my annual mammograms religiously for years, but I also do self checks every month in between. And I found the lump myself during a self check in January of this year. I called my OB the next day, and she got me in and said, we need to do a diagnostic mammogram. So we did that. I found the lump January 22nd, and I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma on February 10th. At that time, we found out that it's estrogen positive and HER2 positive, as well as grade 3. And grade 3 just means that the cancer cells are not very well defined and they kind of go wild and crazy. Given that, they decided to do another battery of tests. I had to have an MRI of the breast where they found suspicious lesions on my sternum. So that then led me to a nuclear bone scan, which found out that it actually had metastasized into the bones already.
And this was all as a result of a self exam,
Yes,
right? And
all as a result of a self exam.
Were you doing annual mammograms at that point?
Yes,
yeah.
I was. I had been doing annual mammograms for the last 4 or 5 years prior to this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And to find the lump on your own, and you're doing mammograms, like you were doing everything, quote, right. You were doing everything you were supposed to do to try to get that early detection. Yet by the time it was found, it had already spread to your sternum and was stage 4.
Yes.
Wow. What a shock.
It really was. It was a Monday that I got my diagnosis, and by that Thursday, I had already met with a surgeon and an oncologist, and I have a fabulous team of doctors. I got my first chemo February 27th, so it was within 4.5 weeks. I had, from the moment I found the lump to being diagnosed to having all the scans and starting chemo. I did 6 rounds of Taxotere. So every 3 weeks I had to do that. And then I also would do the Phesgo immunotherapy injections, which I will be on those for the remainder of my life. Every 3 weeks I have to go in and get an injection in my thigh that has, it's a HER2 blocker, and it's supposed to prevent that protein from replicating so that hopefully I just go along as if I have a chronic illness.
Right. And just for other folks watching, it's my understanding with the immunotherapy that specific injection that you're given is very specific to you, is unique to you. Is that right?
No, this is not particularly unique to me. My oncologist described it because I had that same question. I had wondered, with it being classified as immunotherapy, would they be needing my cells or anything of that nature? And they don't. It's classified under immunotherapy, but it's not really immunotherapy. They don't really have any other category for it. It does work with your body's cells, but I don't have to use anything that it's not specific to me.
Right.
Everyone that gets Phesgo can get it. It's a combination of Perjeta and, I'm going to butcher the name, Hertumazab.
Okay.
I'm not an oncologist. I can't exactly pronounce it.
We're not required. It's all good.
But,
gotcha.
It does work for patients that have the HER2 positive protein.
And so because my understanding of, again, it's only my understanding, which isn't necessarily good. I'm not an oncologist. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. But I had kind of understood that immunotherapy was more like, okay, here's the type of cancer you have. Here are the qualities of your cancer. We're going to give you immunotherapy specific to your cancer, which it sounds like what you're telling me is that the same exact substance could be given to another person in your same scenario. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
gotcha. Okay, well, I mean, stuff with this stuff is changing all the time, so there's no telling. I mean, that's just super amazing. I know immunotherapy is one of the leading edge things that they're doing to treat breast cancer, so that's great news
It
that you're on
really
that.
is.
Yeah.
It is. I was told by my oncologist that even 5 years ago, this was not really something
A
that they would
thing.
have done. It is now, and
Yeah.
there's so many options now out there for patients like me. I recently had a CT a couple of weeks ago, and the bone metastases are stable, and there's no new disease, and so everything is going according to plan, and they
That's
treat it just
awesome.
as a chronic illness, and
Right,
so
right.
I'm grateful for that.
No doubt. Can you talk a little bit about some of the side effects that you've had as a result of the treatment? Because it's just so
Absolutely.
unique. I'd love to hear about it. And I know
It
other
is.
people would like to learn.
Certainly. Because my cancer had already spread to the bones, the before my very first chemo, I was scheduled to have Taxotere and carboplatin together. Those were the two chemos to go through my port at the time. But because it had already spread to my bones, my oncologist decided to not do the carboplatin because that was basically supposed to stop it from spreading, but it had already spread. So there was no point in extra toxins in my body. So I did Taxotere. And the main side effects I had with that, obviously hair loss. I used to have long hair, like 3 or 4 inches below my shoulders. And so it went away and it came back gray.
Well, how did you feel about that? I know that women have mixed feelings about it. Some people are just like, I don't care, and some people it's really
Honestly,
hard.
that was the hardest part for
Really?
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had warned me ahead of time, go ahead and cut your hair before you start chemo because it's going to start coming out in clumps and it's less traumatizing if it's shorter. So I had cut my hair right after my diagnosis and had talked with the oncologist. And then I'd had my first round of chemo and nothing had happened to my hair. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll just get lucky. It'll just thin a little. Well, no,
Yeah.
that's not how it works.
Yeah. I hate that, but yeah, it's true, right?
Yeah. I went to dinner with some girlfriends, and that night I thought, gosh, my head feels funny, and I just
Yeah.
ran my fingers through my hair,
Uh-huh.
and all of a sudden I had just wads, and
Yeah.
it was gone,
Yep.
just like that,
Did
and
it
it was
did it feel like
traumatizing.
kind of I remember for me it felt like, you know how like if somebody pulls your hair really hard
Yes,
and
that's
then
exactly what
it's
it
like
felt like.
your scalp is like really tender, you know?
Yes,
Yeah, and then
yes,
that's what it happened, and then but as soon as I shaved my head, that
yeah,
pain was gone.
it
Like
was
that
gone.
is fine after that.
Completely gone after that. I actually had one of my colleagues at work. I went to her house and was like, "Here's the clippers.
Let's
Shave it
do
off."
this. Wow. Did
So
you was it you said it was really hard for you. So was that
it
moment was
was.
very traumatic for you?
It was.
Yeah.
I did cry a lot with that, and I kept trying to tell myself, hey, it's just hair. It'll come back. Don't be so vain. I'd never thought I was such a vain person about my hair. But I realized that when I would, go look at myself in the mirror in the morning and get ready for work or whatever, the hair is like, there was just so much of it before. And then I was this just stark, bald person. And it
Well,
was such a contrast
yeah.
that it took me a while to get, into it and get
Eh,
processed with it. After a while, I was fine with it, but that
Right.
initial moment was like, wow.
Well, I think one of the things is that, like when you receive a diagnosis like that, if the most normalcy that you can accomplish, the better, because it just
Mhm.
makes you feel less like you're going through something super huge like you are. And then
100%.
as soon as you shave your head and it's like, gone, you actually kind of like look like a sick person. That's how I
You do.
felt. And then
Exactly.
going through chemo, I looked even more sickly and pale and all the things. And
Yes.
so
Oh,
that makes it
yes.
really hard. I also wonder, I mean, I don't know if this doesn't seem like it fits with you, but I also wonder for some people when it's really hard for them to shave their head, if it's not like a defense mechanism. Hey, I'm going to focus on this instead of this. You know what I mean?
And it could have been, like a subconscious way of
Right.
focusing on that versus the illness.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
would not deny that at all.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
it's such a, the whole thing is so traumatic. It's really interesting to see how each one of us reacts to it, and there's no wrong way, man. It's like
Right.
however you got to deal with it, you deal with it, and whatever what affects you, and you just have to let your body and your mind do what it needs to do to help you through it.
100%.
So
Absolutely. I couldn't have put it any better.
yeah.
And in addition to the hair loss, though, some of my other symptoms that I had, I did get the mouth blisters from the Taxotere and the neuropathy, even though I did have the little ice gloves and the little, socks
Yeah.
to put on.
I mean, those are all things that like you try to lower your, your risk
Yeah.
of that. Sorry to interrupt you. I just have so many
No
questions
problem.
along the way. But when you talked about the mouth sores, I remember when I went. Of course, this was like almost 15 years ago for me now. But when I went through it, they suggested using Biotine mouthwash and like using
Yes.
that. Were you using that? And it's
I did use
Yeah.
that, and I had the Biotine lozenges because another colleague of mine who also had breast cancer last year, she just gave me a goodie basket with all the things.
Oh,
and she
that's
was
so
like, "You're gonna need
cool.
this."
Oh,
She
that's so
gave me the
sweet.
little, the ice gloves and,
Yeah.
socks to wear, and she even told me, she said, "When you take your chemo, chew on ice."
Oh,
And it will help prevent the ice blisters. And
Huh.
my first round of chemo, I didn't chew on ice, and I got mouth blisters.
Really? Wow.
The other 5 rounds, I chewed on ice the entire time I was getting the
Uh-huh.
Taxotere.
Uh-huh.
Never once had another mouth blister.
Wow, that's crazy.
And
That's so
just
cool.
little tricks if
Yeah,
that
that is a
helps
good.
somebody out there.
I think that is a great little trick because I had not heard that. That's really cool that you shared that. So you had the hair loss, the mouth blisters, you had neuropathy.
Just fatigue like
Yeah.
nobody's business. I did not have any nausea. And I think that's because I didn't get the carboplatin that he had originally scheduled for me to have. But because my cancer had already spread, and he was like, "You don't need that extra toxin in your body. It's going to be doing enough fighting as it is." So I never had any nausea, but the fatigue was so unreal. And my last chemo was June 27th or June 12th, excuse me, June 12th. And I'm still having moments where my muscles just don't work right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really wipes you out. And
It totally does.
it's a tired, like there's just no, unless you've been through it,
Right.
you can't understand
Well,
it. It's just,
I remember, one of the ways they described it to me is that as you're doing your chemo, it's cumulative. So it's kind of like piling up, right? So you get the one
Yes.
treatment, the next treatment, the next treatment. By the time you're done, you're like, oh, well, like for me, I had 8 treatments. So now you're feeling all those 8 treatments, and then that kind of has to go backwards.
Yes.
Now I'm at, I'm feeling the 8
Right.
treatments, then I go to, 6,
Like,
4,
yeah,
whatever,
exactly.
and go back down. And so it's real shocking when you're like thinking, oh, I'm done with chemo. Everything's great because I'm done with chemo. I don't have to do it anymore. And then you're just like sitting there still trying to get over it. Oh, I hate that, man. So
Yes,
bad. Yeah.
that is the worst. And I did have to learn a lot of allowing grace and reminding myself that my body was fighting a battle that is just, even though I can't see it, it is fighting constantly. And I'd have to remind myself, it's okay. Take the time, because, being a mom and being a wife and having a job, and, you try to have some kind of normalcy. But there were just days you have to take the time for yourself because your body's fighting so hard.
Yep, that's exactly right. And the thing is I mean, so many people, it's so hard to take the time for yourself, but it's so important. And that's like a good statement just in life in general. It's like
Right.
you always have to remember to take time for yourself because you can only be as good for everyone else as you are to yourself. And so
Exactly.
you got to take care of yourself. So that was smart. What are some things that you did to like really do some self-care when you were going through treatment?
I had an incredible care team. The entire where I work in a school district, each grade level would take turns, and so I would have chemo, and then a whole week afterwards, people would stop by the house. I'd have smoothies, or they would make dinners. They would come by and make sure that I had blankets for chemo. I mean, I have a twin size heating pad, which I would highly recommend, with a weighted blanket for anyone when they are just exhausted, and just that pressure and just being like in a cocoon
Dude,
absolutely was a dream come true the week after I had chemo.
that's a man. You should. I would love it if you sent Izzy like your dream like chemo pack, because people are asking
Yes.
about that all the time, and we could put that up on. And we'll call it Allison's chemo pack recommendation. I'm not kidding. That would be cool.
It was the
Because-
best. I just knew I would come in from having chemo,
Yeah.
and I was okay like the first few hours after having chemo because you have all the steroids still in you and you're all right.
Right.
And then the next day you're kind of okay, and then by the third you're done.
Yeah, you're done.
And I, would lay out that twin size heating pad that my aunt got me off of, I think probably Amazon. And I laid on that, and my dad got me a weighted blanket, and
So
I would
good.
just literally drape that over me and just lay there. And I have a wedge pillow to
Oh,
help
yeah.
me.
Perfect.
And it was absolutely the only way I could get even just a tiny bit of sleep.
Yeah.
Because
And
all
that
these thoughts are
comfort,
going
too.
through your head, and it's the comfort, and it really was absolutely wonderful to have that. I had people that would just come over and just sit and visit, just your friends, and they would just try to keep the normal conversation and not dwelling on the fact that you're dealing with this horrific illness. And it would just be anything I could to keep it normal. And it helped my kids, it helped my husband, it helped me. Because once I'd go through that week, and then I would be like, okay, I'm starting to feel alive again. I'm starting to feel okay again. And then I'd have 2 weeks where I would feel good. And I'd get up and I would make dinner. And people, no, you don't have to. And I thought, I need to. I need the normalcy. I need that routine. But I also would allow myself grace and be like, okay, I can't today, but I can do this, this much. And I would get to where, all right, today I'm only going to dust the living room. That's it. And of course, it would wipe me out, but I would do
Of course, yeah, totally.
But I would feel, it
Yeah.
would help me feel normal.
Yeah,
again
I
and
get
not
it.
sit and dwell, because you can really get in a dark place in your head.
It's no joke, man. I remember that was one of the things about me was that I felt like if I was alone, that I would get really depressed. But if I was around friends or people, I was much better. But at the same time, when you're going through chemo, your immune system is compromised, so you don't necessarily want to be out amongst a bunch of folks. So I would have a person come over here, a person come over there, just to hang out with me, watch TV or whatever, and do kind of those normal things like what you're describing. But Allison, I'm not kidding. I'm holding you to Allison's chemo care package.
We'll get the list going and send it to Izzy.
Dude, I'm serious. Give it to Izzy. We'll put it up on our website, because people are always asking, and I'm always like, aloe vera lotion or aloe socks. I always thought that was a really good one. There were several things like that, but I would love to see your list and make a nice comprehensive list to get your approval on, and then we'll put it out there, and it will be labeled Allison's chemo care package.
Little chemo care package.
Yeah. This is because people ask that all the time. Yeah,
absolutely. Because you just every little bit, and everybody's story is different. But if you just pick one little, I didn't even think like the Biotine mouth lozenges; those worked great, and I would have never known that had the other colleague that I work with that had breast cancer and chewing on ice. I would have never known had they not told me. So having those little tidbits does help.
Yeah, that's amazing. So anything else other than what you've described, the hair loss, the neuropathy, the mouth sores, any other surprises when you were going through chemo where you were like, what the heck's happening here?
Sometimes I would have like random just itching in places on my skin. My everything is just so different, and you don't know. One of the most frustrating things is you don't know if it's cancer related. Is it chemo side effects related?
Right.
And you try not to get into your head, and having it already in my bones, every time I have an ache or a pain, I try not to go to the dark place of, oh my gosh, it's getting worse. But I'm getting better about it. I am getting better about it. I'm reminding myself, okay, you just had a great CT. You know that all the metastases are stable, but that is a hard thing. And I think that surprises me, because normally whenever you get an illness, you get the flu, you get a cold or whatever, and you know that there's an end in the sight, and you're going to get better, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm on the upswing. Well, there's not really an upswing when you have cancer. It's just you have cancer.
Yeah, when you're metastatic and there's not like a cure necessarily in sight, because it's kind of but it's more about just getting it to kind of lie dormant as long as
Yes.
as long as you can, and hopefully
Absolutely.
in that amount of time they'll come up with some whiz bang something to come in and shoot it like lasers or something. And
I'm hoping that they will. And
yeah, yeah,
I mean, they make leaps and bounds every day.
they
But in the
really do.
meantime, I remind myself that these days that I have right now, I feel the very best that I'm ever going to feel with cancer.
Well, and you embrace that, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just my little chronic friend that I live with. So,
Oh my
I
God.
mean, it is. It's my little chronic friend.
Yeah.
Because I've been, and I don't want my humor with it to discount any of the feelings, because I have been in the deep dark throes of depression, and I have had the insomnia, and I have laid there at night and thought, this is insane. This is not happening. There's been the denial, there's been the anger, there's been the grief. And I think that you go through the entire grieving process when you get diagnosed, and you're not just done with the grieving process. There will be days that I will go way, way back and dark into my head and start the whole process over again. And then I have to stop and remind myself that, you know what, I choose joy. And tomorrow, none of us are promised anything. I mean, we all know as human beings what the end is going to be. It's just those of us with cancer have had to realize that our chapters look a little different. And every chapter of my life from here on will always include cancer. And I can choose to be bitter and angry about it. And some days I am. But I can also choose to, just like I said, realize, hey, I feel really good today. And I might not be feeling good in 10 years. And so I'm going to wish I had these days back.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take these days and just be thrilled that I got up today. I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel good. And that's what I tell myself every morning.
Well, what's cool is that, everybody who's faced a cancer diagnosis has this whole new perspective on life that I honestly wish that we all had just starting out, because it's really, really a fantastic perspective. You're able to like recognize, hey, I need to live every day to the fullest. If there's something that I've been wanting to do, there's no reason to put it off. And that should be the mindset for all of us, not just if we've gotten a cancer diagnosis, because the bottom line is like what you just said, we're not promised tomorrow. So we should always take advantage of what's happening today and do those things that make us happy, and do those things that we love to do to make other people happy, and the whole thing, just embrace all of it. I think it's really an important vantage point to have. I don't want to forget to ask you this, Allison. I keep thinking about it while you're talking. Do you mind sharing with us how old you are?
I'm 48.
48. So you were diagnosed at 48?
At 47.
47. Okay,
47.
gotcha.
So this year when I had my birthday, I had just finished up chemo, and I thought, you know what? I made it to another birthday.
There you go. Yeah.
And so, okay.
Yeah. And just for everybody watching, just so you know, anybody who's diagnosed with breast cancer under 50, they consider that young. So you were actually diagnosed at a young age. Do you have any breast cancer in your family at all?
No. And I was negative for all of the genetic testing.
Yeah. Do you remember how many genes you were tested for at that testing?
They did everything.
That they have? Yeah. Yeah. They have
Yeah,
so many
everything.
now. So many.
Both of my parents have had cancer, not related to mine. Theirs was more of lifestyle, but
Gotcha.
because they had a history of cancer as well, they went ahead and
did the genetic
tested
testing.
all the genetic stuff, and not a single thing came back
Wow.
for me.
That's crazy.
It was negative for everything.
Yeah.
And I scratch my head sometimes and think, I eat right, I exercise, I did my annual mammograms, I did my monthly self-check, all the things.
Right.
And, it just, cancer's not picky.
No, it really isn't. And I mean,
comes.
I do think it's important to stress that, the things that we know that we can do to reduce risk of breast cancer, we should all be doing those things.
Absolutely.
But you also do have to have the knowledge that sometimes you can do everything, and it's just hit or miss. You never know who it's gonna hit, and you don't really know why, if it's gonna end up being something genetic later down the line for us that we find. Like they haven't found any genes associated to mine, but I did have a lot of cancer on my dad's side of the family. But they haven't found any of the genes, but they find new genes all the time that are associated with all the different kinds of cancer. And so I try to go back every 3 or 4 years and get retested with any new things that they found so they can see if they can, find the, connect the dots over here.
That's I didn't even realize that they could go back and recheck for other things.
Yes, they've actually, like, girl, since I first was diagnosed, they tested me for like two to three things when I was first diagnosed. I came back like 3 or 4 years later, they tested me for like 15, 18 things. I went back a few years later, they had like 35 things. So basically what it is like the first few things that they found associated back to breast cancer had a high probability, right? So that was common. They were able to find it, the BRCA stuff. So that if you have a BRCA gene, there's a high risk of breast cancer. But then the more genes that they find, it's the lower the risk. So the ones that they find, later and later are having a less and less percentage of risk, but it does have some risk associated because they've linked it back. You see what I'm saying? So So like whenever they finally find a gene, which I think they will personally, because if you had cancer, well, you said your cancer in your family was a lifestyle, but like I did that big. I forget what they call it now. It's like a family tree, but it's where you just put what each person died from and how old they were. And so they had me do this big like family tree, like back several generations. And like I had to do research and stuff, and I found all this cancer on my dad's side. So they feel like there is a gene, but they just haven't found it yet. So yeah.
I mean, who knows? One of my colleagues at work, maybe there's something at work, I don't know.
Yeah.
So she just recently did the genetic testing because her mother had been diagnosed, and she does carry the gene. And I had no idea that there was a correlation between breast cancer and pancreatic cancer. And hers came back as that there's a correlation that she has a higher probability of having pancreatic cancer just because she carries the BRCA gene.
Right. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
I never would have connected those two.
I'll have to send you. Again, we could get together offline, but when I did my last genetic testing, they actually gave me a sheet because, I'm interested in all this stuff. So I'm like, give me all the information you can give me. And it actually identified each different gene and what the different types of cancer that gene was a risk for. So all the genes have a combination of different cancers that they raise your risk for. So like, I think with the BRCA, I think prostate cancer is tied to that too. Like I need to look, but so nobody like hold me to this.
Makes sense.
But that type of thing. So like my dad has prostate cancer, stage 4 prostate cancer. But like his brother had prostate cancer, and then like his great aunt or something had like breast cancer. He had an uncle that had stomach cancer and all this stuff. So it'll likely be some gene that relates back to all those cancers is what I'm assuming, but I can send you that too. It's fun because Allison, it sounds like we have like offsite homework to do for each other.
We do.
I don't want to miss. I only got like 5 more minutes with you. We're like cranking through some stuff. Just briefly, because I want to close out by talking about like where you are with your breast cancer and everything, and like what the prognosis is and what the future holds and your treatments and stuff like that. But can you touch just real quickly on what you do as a therapist?
I'm a dyslexia therapist, and a dyslexia therapist works with, well, in my case, working in the public education system, I work with students who have dyslexia, and I remediate them through a program that is multisensory. So we use all the modalities of learning, and it's a very explicitly taught. And we start from the ground up, like with, your letters and your sounds, and then all the way into the fluency with reading. So we usually keep our kiddos about 2 to 3 years within the therapy program that we use. I've been a licensed therapist now for about 6 years. Prior to that, I was just a general education teacher and taught kindergarten through 2nd grade for a long time.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I love it. I love folks that are helping kids in any way, shape, or form. I've got a good friend who's involved with special needs students in the Plano School District, and then we have a board member who has a special needs son, and just there's such a lot of special kids out there that are just amazing, and having the time with them is really great. All right, so we have about 3 minutes left.
Okay.
All right, so you're telling us now that you're basically your cancer isn't growing; it's stable.
It's stable.
Right?
Right.
You're not in chemo at the moment.
No.
You're on the medication you mentioned a little bit ago.
Right.
And you'll be on that forever.
And I also will have to be on a hormone inhibitor forever.
Gotcha.
Because mine was estrogen positive, so I get to be on the lovely anastrozole that prevents my body from producing estrogen. I'm postmenopausal, so I don't have to do the tamoxifen because that stops the estrogen production from your ovaries.
Gotcha.
And since I'm already postmenopausal, my ovaries essentially were just, there for show. And so the rest of your body, which I didn't realize that your fatty tissue can just produce estrogen. But apparently the human body is very ornate and intricate, and so it does all of this wonderful stuff. So they've got me on an anastrozole, and it prevents that estrogen production from happening, so that hopefully, since it's a hormone driven, it will not decide to rear its ugly head anytime soon.
You talked about being postmenopausal, so are you saying that you went into menopause prior to even getting breast cancer?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, that's young.
I was already postmenopausal by about a year and a half before I was diagnosed
Wow.
with breast cancer.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. Good to know.
Yeah, who knows? But my oncologist, the prognosis, he said years and years and years. He said that he does have a similar patient with just bone metastases, has not gone to any organs or anything, and she has been with him for almost 15 years. So,
That's
I'm
amazing.
gonna
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold out for keeping my little cancer friend.
And plus, I mean,
doing
15
my
years, there's no telling what they'll come up with.
There's literally no telling what will happen.
Yeah, totally true.
I figure I'm young and healthy enough, and I can just continue doing the right things and continue doing my screenings and continue doing my mammograms and going about my life. So I'm not necessarily a candidate for surgery because it had already spread.
Right.
However, my surgeon, she did say if for some reason a tumor does redevelop in either breast, then we would consider a mastectomy at that point.
Gotcha.
But that right now, taking a mastectomy or doing a mastectomy right now wouldn't really benefit anything because it's already elsewhere in my body.
Right.
Tumor started to regenerate.
I got you. And so, as far as like your appointments, like how often are you seeing your oncologist? When is your next scans? How often are you having scans? That kind of thing.
I finally graduated to the 6-month club, so
woohoo! Raise the
I
roof.
now get my CTs every 6 months. I still have to have an echocardiogram every 3 months because the Phesgo shot that I'm on, the HER2 blocker, it can damage your heart. So every 3 months I have to have an echocardiogram. But otherwise, my CTs will be every 6 months, and I see my oncologist every 3 months because it's every 12 weeks. But I do go in every 3 weeks for my shot, get my labs in. If something were to pop up that would be unusual, they would have me see my oncologist. And the surgeon, she said, I'm good. Don't have to see her again for another 6 months. So
well, that's
I'm happy to be in the 6-month club now.
Yeah, that's really cool. And your hair is growing back in.
It
and
is.
Soon enough, you'll be like, hey, what's up, April? Check out my hair. And I'll be like, who are you? I don't recognize you.
That's right.
That's awesome, Allison. Man, you are so courageous and brave and an inspiration, truly. I love having folks like you on the show because it really is a testament to how we should all view life. It's just very inspiring. And I think it's a good reminder for everyone to hear, hey, don't take this life for granted. Don't wait around for the things that you want to do. Don't be crazy. Like, don't put yourself in some terrible debt because you wanted to get your 1978 Trans Am that's been refurbished. But do the things you want to do, or figure out how you can get to those goals in life because we only got one life, and now's the time to do it. So, well, girl,
core memories.
Yes. There you go.
Make the core memories.
Yes, good call, good call. Well, I expect your homework turned in by the end of the week to Izzy.
I will do that.
Okay, and then Izzy's gonna hassle me to remind me to get you the list of the genetic testing where it goes back and tells you, because I can send that to you easily too. It's very interesting. We could probably find a link for it, but it's super interesting. I think you would dig learning about it. Super cool.
I will.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining tonight, girl. I really appreciate it, and keep us posted on how you're doing. Okay.
I will. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
I
totally. Have a great night.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was Allison. Man, what a rock star. So cool to hear from somebody like her. Like I said, those ladies that are stage 4 metastatic are such an inspiration. And, you know, you would think that they would each have a commonality of maybe being depressed or just having trouble, you know, getting up in the next day or whatever. But it's actually the polar opposite. These ladies have a whole new perspective on life, and we have a lot to learn from them. So I hope you learned a lot from Allison tonight. And be on the lookout at breastcancercansticket.org for Allison's chemo care pack, okay? We're going to be putting that out there because so many people always come to me and say, hey, what can I get my friend? She was just diagnosed. She's in treatment. And, you know, I tell them, oh, you got to get them the seatbelt cover for their chemo port. You know, you got to, you know, there's a few other things. I have a list of things, but she's spouted off lots of stuff. My favorite was that weighted blanket. I think that's a really cool idea. So be sure to watch out for that. In the meantime, I'm going to spin a little something for you guys. We did a little bit of this earlier, but I'm going to show y'all the whole story. So this is actually a video that I did back in 2015. Yes, 10 years ago now. And it was actually talking about the first ever drumathon that we're going to have coming up that year. So it's pretty fun to watch this back, and I really want you guys to check it out, and I'm just hoping and praying that it's formatted correctly because I can't remember if it is or not, but let's see what happens, okay? See, on the flip side, Brian Tichy, drummer from Whitesnake, Ozzy, Billy Idol, and Gene Simmons Band is up next.
April Samuels. I actually was born in Amarillo, Texas, but I grew up in Plano. I'm a drummer, a breast cancer survivor. A lot of people I know don't have a passion in their lives, you know, and this is my passion. And I live for it, I really do, every single day. I started playing drums, well, I got drumsticks when I was 5 years old. I was in a music store with my mom for my brother's guitar lesson. Found a pair of drumsticks, and I was like, oh, get it for me. So she got me those pair of drumsticks. I started taking lessons when I was 11, and I've been playing ever since. So I've been playing professionally for about 20 years. So I'm about 22. It was a Tuesday, 9 o'clock in the morning, and my phone rang. And my doctor said, you know, I can't really believe it, but you have breast cancer. It's what's called triple negative breast cancer, and it's high grade. And he told me to take some time, get on the internet, reputable sources, and learn about triple negative breast cancer and what high grade means. And I learned really quickly that it wasn't good. A couple of days later, I was able to go in and sit down with the doctor. I prepared a big list of questions and asked him everything I could. And I remember the moment really well. I recorded every conversation with any doctor through that whole period because there was so much information at once. And I asked him, I said, you know, you said it's triple negative, you said it's high grade, it's the worst it could be, is that right? And he said, well, yeah. So I looked at my dog, and she was 12 or 13 at the time, and I thought she might outlive me. And that was just really shocking, you know, to think that my dog could outlive me. You know, I think anytime someone is diagnosed with breast cancer or any kind of cancer, they just immediately think they're going to die, you know, and soon. So that's how I felt. No, I haven't. Very thankful for that. Yeah, you know, when I did talk to my doctor about triple negative breast cancer and everything that we knew at that point from the biopsy, and I said, well, you're telling me that this is an aggressive form of breast cancer, so I want to be aggressive right back. What's the most aggressive approach? And he said, a double mastectomy and 4 months of chemo. And I decided at the time not to have reconstruction because I just wanted to make it easier to find any cancer in the future, because the most common place for it to recur is either on your chest wall or in your lungs. And I just wanted to make it really easy to find if there was any, threat in the future. So I went ahead and did not have reconstruction, and I wear prosthetics. Literally within, I believe, 10 days of being diagnosed, I decided that I wanted to be the biggest advocate that I could in the fight against breast cancer. And I came up with the slogan, "Breast cancer can stick it," combining my passion for drumming and my passion for fighting breast cancer, and came up with that slogan. And I had my friend draw up a little logo and everything, and started selling t-shirts and raising funds in the fight against breast cancer. So jumping into that made it where I could take all the energy and turn it into positive energy and start doing something in the fight against breast cancer. I was also really active in my church at that time and had a really strong church group in my family. We were very close as well. So having my friends and my family just gave me a lot more energy. I found that if I was alone for very much time during that whole time, that it was really bad for me. I would get very depressed. So sometimes friends would just come over and stay a few days with me, and that got me through it every single time. Deborah and I met at church. We went to a church together called Whosoever Dallas. We met a few years before I was diagnosed, and she's just an amazing photographer and an amazing person too. She had an exhibit called Underneath My Clothes, and had several people that she had done phototherapy with in that gallery. And I remember one woman in the gallery was a woman named Karen, and she had breast cancer, and she had a double mastectomy. And I just remember how touching and how moving those photos were, especially of Karen. And Karen was there that day, and I actually had a chance to talk to her. And so shortly after I was diagnosed, I don't know, I had this feeling that Deborah was gonna call me and ask me, and I had already decided that if she asked me, it wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to do, because you're very vulnerable in a phototherapy session, but I knew it was something that I needed to do, to be able to get through everything. It's hard to describe, but Deborah will talk to you about whatever it is that you've been through and just bring forward those emotions through whatever issue you've gone through. And it doesn't have to be necessarily something where you're left with scars or any kind of body deformity or anything like that. It could be an emotional problem, but she'll talk you through everything, talk to me about, going through breast cancer, through my diagnosis, and just kind of bringing all those feelings out. I definitely did feel like I wanted to push back, when she was talking to me, but I still found a way to push forward and still be able to release those emotions, which is the whole point of phototherapy. You're there, you're naked, literally, but also emotionally. And it's that whole process that is, I can't even describe it. It's just a wonderful process. I'm just so thankful to have gone through it, because when I look back at those pictures, I can really see how far I've come, not just physically, but emotionally too. It is really something that I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity to do. When I look at the pictures, I guess I knew at that time that I wasn't, sure what was going to happen. I knew that I was going to have chemo. I was pretty sure I was going to be okay, but I didn't know for sure. I didn't know what chemo was going to be like. I didn't know, there's risks with chemo. There's risks with all the treatments and everything, all the medications and stuff like that. I was scared, but I also was sure about my decision, and I was focused, on what I wanted to do and how I wanted to get everything done. So.
And how do you see yourself now?
Yeah, I feel physically and mentally strong, unless somebody asks me about how I used to feel. No, I do. I feel like I am here for a purpose. This is what I'm called to do. Breast cancer can stick it is my life. This is something, it's the first time I've had something in my life that I feel like every point in my life brought me to where I am today with this, and it was all building me up to have this organization, and I will carry this all the way out, and you know, sometimes I think, oh, I'll do this until the day I die. And well, no, because we're going to solve for breast cancer before that, right? That's the plan. So, you know, while I keep thinking, oh, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, the plan is to not have to do it for the rest of my life. And then I'll find another cause to get behind and do that. I've played drums since I was 5, basically. I got drumsticks when I was 5 years old. And so it's always been a part of who I am. And I always wondered, I was like, you know, once as I got older, I was like, well, I'm not signed, I'm not touring the world, you know, what's this drum thing about? Is it just a hobby? What's the purpose behind it? When I got diagnosed with breast cancer and came up with Breast Cancer Can Stick It, it was like, that's what it's for. It's to bring a new spin on awareness for breast cancer, to be able to reach a whole new audience and to be able to take this to a whole nother level and raise awareness. Breast Cancer Can Stick It. We've done so many amazing things. You know, sometimes I'll have to step back and go, whoa, what just happened? Some great examples are in 2013, I was preparing for one of our big Breast Cancer Can Stick It events in Corpus Christi. And I was talking to Ricky Rocket of Poison, who I got put in touch with. And he was like, well, what kind of drum set are you playing or whatever? And I told him, and I was like, you know, but I've been looking at your Rocket Drumworks kits for a while. And he was like, let me see what I can do. Called back a week later and they donated a black glitter drum set with pink hardware for our Breast Cancer Can Stick It events. And so we use that at all of our events now. That was amazing. Also having some great celebrities at that event that year. Troy Lucetta of Tesla, Jimmy Deanda of Bullet Boys was there. Another thing that happened last year was Bret Michaels from Poison did a meet and greet wearing a Breast Cancer Can Stick It shirt on his birthday. And so all of a sudden all these pictures started showing up out there. In fact, that day that they gave us that drum set or called about that drum set, they offered me an endorsement deal, so I play Rocket Drumworks now. I have 2 kits, that black glitter kit with the pink hardware, and then a black kit with pink checkers and pink hardware too. And the thing that makes this celebrity interaction so important is that spreads the word even more so we can raise even more funds. So last year we wrote a check to Baylor Salmons Cancer Center for $10,000. We've also donated to the Pink Daisy Project, which is an organization that helps women who are going through breast cancer right now, just with, you know, financial needs, whether it be a gas card or, you know, a restaurant gift card or anything like that. So we've been able to donate a lot. And then this year we're doing a big thing called a drumathon, and it's going to be our annual walk, if you will. But it will be geared towards drummers, but anyone can participate in it. And we're hoping to raise between $50,000 and $75,000 from that one event. So, I mean, it's just growing bigger and bigger, and we're making a bigger dent in breast cancer each day, really. You know, I really feel that it's important to reach women directly as well. So many times I'll be talking to someone and they'll be like, oh, my friend was just diagnosed. I'll be like, tell them to write me on Facebook or whatever. And having those direct conversations are so important when you've been diagnosed recently. It's really hard to talk to people that you're close to about breast cancer because they're emotionally involved, right? But whenever they can talk to me, I've been through it, I understand, and they don't have to worry about me getting upset. Not that I don't care, but I'm not, you know, a friend or family member that can't handle hearing how hard it is. So it's important that we do it that way too. I'm a drummer, a breast cancer survivor, and the founder of Breast Cancer Can Stick It. That's who I am. Everything about me. Sleep, eat, drink, drums, breast cancer awareness. Every day.
You asked for Spanish
All right.
Fly.
I know I did. All right, everybody. Welcome back from that break. I hope you enjoyed that video just now. We got Brian sitting here in the wings. Give me 1 second. I got to do a couple of things real quick. Housekeeping things here. We're going to get it happening. 1 sec. Got it, man. All right. We're going to welcome Brian Tichy to the show. How are you doing, Brian?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome, man. So you guys kind of caught us there for a second. Brian was playing guitar, and he was doing a lot of Van Halen riffs, and I was like, hey, man, can you play Spanish Fly? And he freaking whipped it out just now. And dude, you're like...
Wait. Did I play Spanish Fly or did I whip it out?
No, come on, man.
Hold on a second.
It's a family show.
Oh, geez. Hey, I didn't say it. You did.
It's it, man. It's all
Hey,
good.
just to make sure,
Yes.
is everybody seeing me but hearing you only? Is that what's going
No,
on?
no,
Or
everybody's seeing both of us. You just can't see me.
okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. Because I want you to
All
look
right.
at that picture right there and think that I look that good all the time, even though I
Okay.
don't. Cool?
All right. So it is what I am. This is me, but you get the full blown photo session
I
shot.
know, right?
Okay, my hair and makeup person wasn't here today,
Oh,
so.
man. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
usually we send them over, but we just didn't have time. So sorry about that, man.
all right. Well, yeah. Yeah. This is where I sit in my house and laptops, interviews or whatever, and
Yeah.
I sit here and I have a little practice amp and my EVH guitar. There's a couple others. I just got this badass Dean ML. It's the silver burst Dean. I'd never seen one before, and I saw it. I was like, I got to have that. So I got that, and then there's an SG over there. But anyways, yeah. So this is just like whenever I sit here, you grab guitars and play. That's that.
That's awesome, man. That's really
Yeah.
awesome. I love that, man. I have a bunch of guitars here at my house as well, but I'm not quite as well versed as you are in all that business, man. It sounds great, and it's a beautiful guitar for sure.
Yeah, this guitar. It's of every guitar I own. This is my favorite one to play. It feels so nice, and I spent the past couple years like kind of doing deep dives into Eddie Van Halen stuff. So there's a lot of time put into that, but it was really cool to do it on this guitar and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, there you go.
That's
So
awesome. That's awesome. Well, as we were talking about on break, man, one of the things I like to do when we have celebrity guests like yourself, drummer from Whitesnake, Ozzy, Gene Simmons Band, Billy Idol, Foreigner, you played with so many artists, but I always want to find out like how you got started, like what turned you on to drums in the very first place?
um, well, I think we've all been asked that before, and we've all had to think about it. But um, there was nothing. There was nothing that made me aware or I realized. It just happened, and it's just always been there. It's that simple. It's like I probably started playing when I was 8. So when I was 5, I had already thought drums are the coolest thing in the world. Like that was just it. It was just a given. Like I thought that if I think that at 5 years old, everybody probably thinks that, but drums are loud. That's why people don't have drum sets because they are the coolest thing, but it's a loud thing. So, or I thought kids, I didn't really care what old people thought at 5 years old. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was it. That was really that simple. There was the look of a drum set, like we've all done. You get the old Tama catalog or Ludwig catalog in the 80s, and it's just like all these double bass kits with toms or just whatever. You're just like, oh my God, if I could have that kit. Or just hearing drums. It was just always in my mind, even as a kid, like, oh, I like that snare drum sound, or that's a cool beat, not knowing how to play drums yet. So when I got a fake drum set before I got an actual real one in 4th grade. I got a fake one in 3rd grade. I must have been telling my parents, but that's right at the same time I got into Kiss. So it was like all like 1976 or something, and that was it. I learned how to play a beat, but it was already effortless. It was not effortless, not like everything I can do. It's just the basics of rock beats. It was just that was like, yes, of course, it felt right. And even before drums, I would take 2 pens or pencils on my bed and with my radio. I would be going to sleep at night, probably whatever, 6, 7 years old, and put the radio on and just sit there and just do that. And I was like, that's the shit. So it was just got a drum set, started playing, got a real drum set next year. I started taking lessons, and it was just that was it, like off and running, and
Right.
no second thoughts. Like there was no maybe I don't want to do this, or maybe I have another interest.
Right.
A few years later, guitar in 7th grade started. Randy Rhoads, really, I was already into guitar, but Randy Rhoads' Blizzard of Oz, somehow that all clicked when I was like, I want to play guitar too. Randy Rhoads' Blizzard of Oz, I got to learn this stuff, but the drums were just a guaranteed, like, I'm gonna do this rest of my life. I don't know how. I just know I'm not wearing a suit and I'm not working in an office, and I don't even care about college. Like, this is what I got to do. I got to figure it out.
Oh wow!
That's
So
it.
that first drum set that you got, the one that was like not a real drum set, are we talking like paper Sears type of situation?
We're talking exactly Sears paper
Yep.
heads. It's
Yep.
called the Dynamite drum set. It wasn't made of wood. It was made of some kind of weird flimsy metal or like thick tin foil or some aluminum.
Right. Right.
But there was a kick drum that was two heads, and it sounded like boom, boom. When you hit it, like boom. It was a terrible, so I wouldn't play the kick, play the
Yeah.
cymbal and the snare, and there's a
Right.
cowbell and a splash, three toms, but I just put my foot outside of the kick. So if my parents were like, oh, it's Christmas, let's go watch Brian play a song on drums up in his room, I'd show you, hey, you can't hear the kick because it sounds terrible, but look at my foot, boom, 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 you know? So I would, I had that for a year, and eventually, I think it's like third grade, I busted through the heads, and my mom was like, if you start taking lessons, fourth grade, like September, if you start taking lessons and do all right, we'll get you a kit for Christmas. And that's weird because my parents were like talking about Christmas presents. I mean, because I don't know, maybe I still believed in Santa or something like that. But anyhow, she full blown told me like 4 months ahead. So I took the lessons and it was fine. And I got a proper leady kit, 4-piece leady kit that Christmas. And that was the coolest thing. Going down to my basement, there's a drum set, like a real drum set, like real cymbals. Oh my God.
So you're like in fourth grade, you're like, is that like 9, 8, something
Yeah,
like that?
I think that's 9.
Yeah.
So I started the year before on the fake drum set, 8, and then 9 I got the real drum set, and that was it, off and running. But yeah, it was just everything that we love about drums was like built in. So whatever anybody talks about why they like drums, it was all, or love drums, that was all already there as a kid. Nobody, I don't think any parents really tell their kids, you got to be a drummer the rest of your life, or you have to be a guitar player, you have to be a rock musician the rest of your life. Like no parents really saying that. But if it's there and that's all you think about and that's all you really want to see yourself do, you know what I mean? It's that immediate. I could see myself doing this rest of my life. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like to be a freaking adult. I'm 9 years old. I haven't even gone through puberty.
Right.
I don't even know what it's like to be a teenager, but this drum thing, I can see that. You know?
Right.
It's the look of drums, the sound of drums, a beat, a fill, a groove, and whatever it is, everything about them, everything I absolutely loved. But I'd say it all comes down to a 2 and 4, I think is the most badass thing ever invented. Like before there was 2 and 4, there wasn't. And people didn't understand
Right.
what it was like to feel backbeat.
Right.
Like so powerful. It's so powerful. It's massive. And I think we all take it for granted. There was a time. There was big band, great stuff. There's jazz. There's blues. There's all kinds of, there's classical, all amazing kinds of music throughout history. But at some point in time, somebody, whatever it was, the earliest bits of rock and roll that came from whatever it was, here in the trains, all that stuff. But somebody, that is massive. It moves people. That's why rock and roll is huge. It doesn't matter if it's pop or metal. It's just a backbeat. And I think that is what I liked the most. And everything else was like, yeah, drums look cool. They sound cool. And still to this day, none of the other stuff matters if there's that place in a groove that you want to always get, where that's like, what's the best place? What's the best way to play this groove? What is it? That's the most important thing, to get that, and which includes, where you place. I don't know how to play stuff. I just go by feel. I go, oh, I'm behind the beat on my head. Like, oh, I'm playing on the click. I'm with it. I play and try and make it feel right. But the kick and snare is one thing. And then, how do you push a hi-hat? Do you push, pull, hard, soft, even eighths, open, shut, tight, Stuart Copeland, sloshy Van Halen. Where is it? You know what I mean? And just those little things, they can,
Yeah, it's all the nuances between everything that really make it, like, it changes the entire song just by the way you play just those 3 parts, your kick, your snare, and your hat. Depending on how you're playing those, it could change the whole vibe.
Totally. And I was very aware of that as a kid, just that like, okay, Stuart Copeland sounds like this. Alex Van Halen sounds like that. Peart sounds like this, everybody's got their characteristics and stuff. And I was very aware of that when I was spent like all those years when I was a kid playing the records, because that's really all I did. My fills come out on time. And I tell anybody to give lessons to, that's such a great way to practice. If somebody go, oh, we have speakers in the room, like speakers, how are you going to hear any detail? When I first got the kit, it was in my basement, and my dad had these 2 big ass speakers, and I run upstairs to his stereo, and they were connected to the speakers downstairs, turn something on, run downstairs and play. but it was all like kind of a mess. It was just a jumbly, like there's a wall, there's a big mess in the basement of, you know, but you put the headphones on, and everything had clarity and everything started to make sense. And that was it. That's what I did the most of my life from, you know, 9 years of fourth grade through high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's cool. And so when you started, when you finally got that kit, like how long was it before you actually started like playing with folks, and what was that like when you started
Playing
your
with
first
what?
with folks, like different people when you started a band? What was that like? The first band?
Oh, and by the way, I'm not looking in this because I'm seeing a picture of you.
I know,
So
dude.
I feel like I'm talking on the phone, not
You're good.
to, you know, so people are watching, if hopefully somebody's watching and they're like,
There
Jamie
are.
doesn't
There's
look at the
people
camera.
watching. Yep.
But it's really weird when there's nobody there,
I
you
know.
know?
Sorry, man.
So anyways, yeah, I started playing with this one buddy. A friend of mine was like, oh, there's this kid, he's a guitar player. He's like into rock and all this and that. And either he'd come over or I go to his place with my drums, and we would really just make up. He had song ideas, and that was cool. He was like, here's a riff. And I was like, well, I can make up this drum beat. So we were like writing. That didn't really develop into a real band. But soon after that, across town on the other side of town, I lived in Parsippany, New Jersey, and you got my side, Parsippany Hills, and then you got Parsippany High. And the hills and the high didn't hang out because Parsippany is pretty big. So nobody in my side of Parsippany really knew anybody on the other side. But because of music, I ended up hanging out on the other side, meeting everybody there. It was actually kind of cool. So and then I heard, oh, there's this metal bass player. He's into like, you know, heavy stuff, and this guitar player can play Eruption. So I started playing with those guys, and we did a couple parties, and yeah, just a couple things at the school, and I think we made some music up and played a ton of covers, everything from Aerosmith, Zeppelin, and Kiss to Maiden and Priest, and even I think by the end of high school, Metallica and Anthrax, and probably even a Slayer. They wanted to do heavier stuff, and so but I think right in the center of all the stuff we did was pretty much Maiden, Priest. Like we all grew up on the Aerosmith, Kiss, Zeppelin, 70s, and then we got into more heavy stuff, and then the heavy got heavier when all the Metallica, the big four
Megadeth
came
and stuff,
out,
all those people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we did. It was just kind of the normal stuff.
Do you remember like the first gig that you played that you got paid, and how much you got paid?
Yeah, that's I was 18 and I ended up buying a house from it. No, I'm kidding.
It's like, dude, you better not be telling the truth, man.
I think I went after high school. I was at Berkeley Music College, right? In 1986, like 18 years old. And I got schooled really quickly there on what I didn't know on drums and guitar. It was just like relentless. It was just, oh my God, okay, if I'm going to go to college, I guess this is the best place to be. But I think the first 2 years there, I just practiced. I didn't play with anybody. Maybe I did a little somebody's recital or this or that. But then the third year, I started playing out a lot. And I think I don't know. I played a blues gig. A friend of mine who actually, if you don't know him, his name is Steve Wolf, Stephen Wolf. He was Steve Wolf back then, Stephen Wolf. He's a New York drummer that is really into programming. But when we were both 18, 19, and I saw him at Berkeley, he was one of the people at 18 years old that kicked my ass so hard and made me realize how much he had beautiful, perfect hands and amazing technique and speed. And he played a combination of Simon Phillips and Bozio. At 18, the stuff he was playing on drums was insane, and he knows I feel this way. He influenced me as much as all the drummers I got exposed to in Berkeley. But he was in a blues band, like some blues cover band. He couldn't do a gig. So he's like, Brian, you want to do this blues gig? And gave me a list. And I remember the pressure's on. I got to play funky stuff and blues and shuffles. And I don't know, I maybe got $50 or something like that in, somewhere in Boston.
I know, $50 for your first pay is pretty dang good, man, when you think about it.
I mean, it was a party. I remember there's a lot of people there. It was like I don't remember where. I just know I didn't care. I didn't care about the money. I was like, I got to play with this band and play all these songs right. I could play shuffles and bluesy stuff and this funky thing and so that was my main concern, was playing good and filling in for Steve, because Steve, even though we're friends, he was the same age, he was just oh goodness, he was just so good. Like yeah, it was like ridiculous. Like I mean, it's just not an exaggeration how good he was. Like I was like, he's 18, 21, he's on the cover of Modern Drummer. I guarantee it. He's just like, we were all thick into the same stuff at Berkeley, and he was just ahead. And he went on his first gig. He left Boston. He went to play with Hiram Bullock from the David Letterman Band. So Hiram heard him come down to New York. Steve moves to New York, and Steve's gigging all over town. I remember freaking Sonny Emery came to Berkeley. Sonny had done a clinic opening up for Bozio. We all went and saw Sonny and Bozio, me and Steve Wolf and all these other drummers friends with at Berkeley at the time. And somehow days later, Sonny was hanging at Berkeley, but he heard Steve, and he told all like the rest of the guys, whoever he was hanging with, you got to hear this kid play, like, because he was that good. It was just like, you knew it. Everybody knew it. And yeah, so Sonny Emery was there. Yeah, but yeah, so Steve went and got the Hiram gig. Then he went and played with Annie Lennox and Grover Washington Jr. He was like doing those gigs, and then he had wrist problems.
Oh,
and,
God, man.
So he got into studio. Like, he's on tons of big singles, like the Drum Program, and tons of all the big artists we know. I can't remember their names, like Alicia Keys and probably Britney Spears and all that kind of stuff, you know.
Dang, man.
Yeah. So yeah, but like, anyways, he was the reason I got that first blues fill-in gig, you know. But I do believe that was probably the first time I got paid.
Gotcha. So you went on, and later you started getting these huge gigs with big bands. What was the first big band that you got in and you were like, holy crap, I've kind of got where I want to be finally? Do you feel like
that hasn't happened? Not to take anything away from any of the bands I played with, because it's all been great experiences, and there's some big names in there that either I grew up on all of them.
Right, you
so
have.
It's
Yeah.
always an honor to be, and it's a really unique experience, you know, to get to, like, you know, go, this was something that I was dreaming as a kid, and now I'm in that. That's always cool. But the first gig that made for me wasn't the first big gig would be years later, like big as far as names everybody knows. Well, I guess Zakk Wylde everybody knows, and everybody knows Slash. So like those were big to me because they're guitar badasses, and I did years with those guys in the 90s, and Vinnie Moore's an amazing instrumental shred guitar virtuoso that I first played with in the early 90s prior to Zakk and Slash, and we toured relentlessly around the country on supporting his record. It was a trio, and it was 91 into 92, and we even got to open up for Rush for 2 weeks in arenas on the East Coast. So like, that experience was massive, and just the experience of playing 6 nights a week in clubs around the country, like, but we're, you know, there's grunge going on then, right? And there's like hair metal, but we're playing like shred kind of virtuoso, so double bass and overplaying, and I get to solo and all that shit. So that was a great experience. But soon after that, I started playing with Zakk Wylde. He got a deal out of Ozzy, and he signed to like Geffen Records with like John Collider and Guns N' Roses management and all this stuff. And we were the band, you know. It was like, we did the record, we went and toured Donington, playing with Aerosmith and Pantera, and all over Japan, the States, like all that stuff, which led me to meeting Slash. And the next year I went and did the same stuff with Slash, supporting his first solo record, Slash's Snake Pit. So that was like 2 years.
Wow, man, that's busy.
Like, but it was fun as F, because I'm playing with these amazing players,
right,
that are full on to this day. You go, best rock guitar players going right now, currently, you're gonna put Slash and Zakk in there. Like, they're still 30 years later at the top of their game. They're badasses, and it was just so great to play with them, and I had a blast, and it was great, like fun music. You know, like hard rock drumming, slamming, bashing, your 20s, running around, you know, all these, you know, South America, Europe festivals, like freaking, you know, it was just a great experience. But it was literally like 2.5 years, maybe almost 3 years between the two of them, like rehearsing with Zakk and making the record, and then touring with Slash the next year, and we kept playing after that for a bit. So yeah, it was a nice. It was a real nice experience.
No doubt. So, like you said, that you don't feel like you've hit that big milestone that you're kind of shooting for. Like, what would that look like for you?
Well, the milestone was always to be in your own Zeppelin, Van Halen, Rush, Aerosmith. The milestone to me was you're in your own band.
Right.
You're Alex Van Halen in your band. You're
right.
Neil Peart. You're John Bonham. You're Keith Moon.
Right.
That was the goal. Your own band, not to take anything away.
Totally.
Because
yeah.
I know there's guys that are very successful in their own bands, Vinnie Paul Pantera, for example, like, okay, that's his band. He owned it. He made a
Right.
big difference in the drum world. He proved himself. He's amazing. But he never did like that experience of playing with, Judas Priest or something that he grew up on or
Right,
whatever,
right,
or like,
right. Yeah.
stuff like, so that's kind of what I've done. But, and I know it's interesting to guys that haven't done that, but I still think like higher up the mountain is your own, like you're just known
Well,
for your,
doesn't it
I
seem
mean,
like there aren't like bands like that as much as there used to be? I mean, when we were growing up, like Bon Jovi or Whitesnake or Tesla or Poison or Motley Crue or all those bands, Judas Priest. It was like we all knew every member in those bands, and we knew that that was like their band, and it was like this band that came up and grew. And nowadays, there's not as many of those happening. It's a lot of solo artists and a lot of studio musicians I know happening. I know I was watching a guy on YouTube, a YouTube channel, who's talking about how little there are of bands anymore like there used to be. And it kind of sucks, like I really miss that. Like I wanted that too, like back in the day as well, but I don't see it happening as much. Who do you feel like when you think of like the bands nowadays that's doing stuff like that?
I don't know enough current stuff at all. Like I still think
Yeah.
like the Foo Fighters and the Chili Peppers are new. Like I
That's,
don't,
dude, I feel
I,
the same way too, man.
like Audio Slave's a cool new
Seriously.
band. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Nickelback's new and Default's new. Like they're like really new to me.
yeah, I don't know any like all these, and I know there's a lot of cool like newer bands. I
Yeah.
just don't know the names of them, and I don't really listen to them. Okay, well, except for Meshuggah. I'll talk all day about Meshuggah. That's a whole other level. That's a whole other world right there. I absolutely love Meshuggah. Gojira is great too, but Meshuggah, as far as like, I mean, maybe the Chili Peppers. Everybody knows, like, it's
Yeah.
Flea, it's John Smith, like that,
Right.
and Rage Against the Machine. I think everybody had like, they were a solid band, four guys
yeah.
that never changed. But back in the day, well, I think one of the main reasons is because back in the beginnings, like rock and roll is still relatively young, but in the beginning, bands had to be bands. They had to rehearse and play together and go out and play live and record together. And the drummer had to play time and it had to feel good. And you had to, if you're the Stones, the Who, the Beatles, Queen, Fleetwood Mac, Aerosmith, Kiss, just go down the list, the Doors, Hendrix, you put these records on, and the personality of the guys in the band are there. The sound.
Right. They're not playing somebody else's music. They're playing the stuff that they came up with on their own, right?
But even more importantly, they sound how they sound. Keith Moon plays Keith Moon style drums in The Who. You put The Who on and you go, that's Keith Moon. It sounds like him. So he put his stamp on The Who's music. Whereas nowadays, give me the 10 big rock bands. Like, I don't want to say names because I don't want to sound insulting, but most of them, is that really a standout drum sound? Are those standout drum parts? It's so much of it sounds the same because now with studio technology, there's so much you can do to make it like industry standard sounds. Like this is the best way to have drum sounded mixed on this style of music. Back then, there wasn't any rules. Why'd the Doors sound like the Doors? When Zeppelin sounded like Zeppelin the same year, like the drums sound nothing alike because Densmore played how he played the Doors and Bonham played how he played. Nobody was tweaking their drums trying to make it. This is the
right.
You know
This
what I mean?
like this cookie cutter thing or whatever, right? Yeah.
And it was organic, and technology was, like moving faster, like late '60s and the '70s, as were live concerts and PAs and the recording technology. 4 tracks went to 8 to 16, and all that kind of stuff. And everybody had more options. But what wasn't happening was sampling. What wasn't happening was click tracks. What wasn't happening was copy paste. You might comp, somebody might comp takes together, but now it's a different thing. I mean, the 80s was cool as far as like getting into the making drum machines and gated verb, but that was just technology moving on. And then at 90s, it seemed like get away from that a bit. It was a little more real, probably a lot to do with just like more raw music going on. But now, I don't care about sounding anything new. I want to sound like when I put a record on that has its own, like you can hear the musicians on their instruments, like that sound how they sound because of how they play, and that's how it's recorded.
Like you
Which
could
I
hear
really
their
like about-
personality almost through it, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
Chili Peppers and Rage Against the Machine, Audio Slave, right? I know it's kind of the same bands, but I'm saying like production wise, they're not trying. They're taking what the band is and putting it in the studio and making it as badass as it can be. The Chili Peppers sound like Chili Peppers. Like that's how they sound. Audio Slave sound like Audio Slave because those guys from Rage Against the Machine play that way and it sounds badass. You know what I mean? They're not cookie cutter production styles where a lot of rock bands are nowadays. And I'm not interested in that. I go back to Alex Van Halen's snare and Bonham and
Yeah. Super
Roger
unique.
Taylor and
Yeah.
you know Phil Collins. I know Phil was like doing studio stuff, but like it was like still Phil's sound, like it's
Yeah,
his
yeah,
sound.
yeah.
You know?
I got you.
Yeah.
Hey, I
So
got.
that,
I see a question in here, Brian. I was like, this is kind of like on par with what we're talking about right now, so I want to throw it in here. But Ryan Martin, he's a drummer out of Dallas, Texas. He says, I'm curious how much creativity you were allowed when you played with Billy Idol and Whitesnake. Did you kind of have to actually just try to play as close to the album, or what were there were restrictions of any kind?
No, that's a good question. And every gig, that's a huge factor in, I guess, getting a gig and keeping a gig. Because things develop when you're in a band. You go, oh, I can take liberties. Well, how much do I take? Who's to say how much is all right? Who's to say how much is too much? You know what I mean? You're comfortable in a band because you got a gig. Like I know that I've lived these feelings. Like, you know what I mean? Some gigs, I don't change anything. Some gigs, 100 gigs later, maybe I'll add something, but it still works within, you know. But as far as Billy Idol and Whitesnake, I go into every gig the same. You tell me what you want, and I want to do it. And if you don't give me much information, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna look logically at okay. There's hit songs that I grew up on. There's hit songs that everybody knows. Well, I want to stay true to that, unless you're giving me something to learn that's new, and that's how you do the song. And you know, I'll learn that, right? Like, for example, Billy Idol, Flesh for Fantasies, all drum machine. So I didn't listen to the original. When I learned that with him, I listened to the current version they were playing with the drummer because that's what they're used to. I don't, you know, even though it wasn't that different from the original, it was a little more organic and funky, but it still kept the same beats, but it was just played less mechanical, I guess.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it has more fill.
But every situation is different. If somebody really wants something, tell me and I'm going to do it. You're the boss. I'm here in your world, you know? So my ego's out the door. My ego's only good enough to get me in there to make you happy, you know, to like get there. But to stay there and make you happy, I need you to feel secure that you're not worried when I'm behind you. And I say behind you because I look at Lou Gramm or Coverdale or Billy Idol or Ozzy or Jeff Tate or all these different people that have been the front men who are usually the leaders. You know, in Foreigner's case, it's Mick Jones over there and Lou Gramm. So these guys wrote all this stuff. You know, so I go whatever makes you guys happy, and if nobody's telling me what to do, I just try and be logical. Like, okay, double vision. It goes like this. Don't veer too far away from the meat and potatoes of the song, you know?
Yeah,
Or
don't take away
waste
from the
the time.
spirit of it, right?
I think if you in my case, I grew up on this stuff, you know, it's like kind of like it shouldn't be that hard for me. This is what I do. I should be able to come in and just nail it and like it shouldn't be a thing. And if you want something, I'll do it. But I should be able to have enough history in this style or with these bands and this kind of stuff, and enough intuition to gauge what works or doesn't. I should. Especially now that I'm older. But even in my 20s, like, come on, this is my life. I should be able to go in there and nail it. But really, what's the main thing? 2 and 4, relentless. Don't mess around. Like, just this is what you're delivering on the kit. Don't make that. Don't mess around with that. It's rock and roll. It's got to stay there all night long. Or in the studio, like you got to hit solid, consistent. Things got to be tasty. Things have to sound good. I love tones. I love tuning. I love getting sounds. So all that matters to me, whether it's studio or in a band on tour. I want to make it where it's gets the point across. But I fortunately have not been in anything really, like in all this, whatever, 35 years doing this stuff where I've had to like change stuff around, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't know it was going to be this. Usually it's like, pick a band I've been in, it's really been kind of smooth sailing, you know?
That's awesome,
Um,
man.
yeah, like, okay, there's like Coverdale didn't say anything. I mean, I joined the band, did a record, so I got to make up my own parts with Doug Aldrich in the studio and the engineer and the manager. David couldn't make it down, so they'd send him stuff every night. And I kind of wasn't even thinking about that. He'd just get it, cool, and he'd sign off. And we always had multiple takes. They could edit stuff together. But then the next year we did the tour. So I just got the last live concert from the last tour. Started listening to, at the time it was Chris Frazier was the drummer, who, funnily enough, he then he ends up like a year later going into Foreigner. Like I'm in Whitesnake, he's in Foreigner.
Yeah.
It's funny, and he's been in there ever since. But so like I just watch the live stuff and pick up on it, and you listen, and then sometimes you watch the live, you listen to the original, and then you listen to what the original drummer was doing live back in the day. So you start to how deep do you want to go, and but then for example, since like 2016 I've done a lot of shows playing with Don Felder from the Eagles, who I call Mr. Hotel California, because without Don Felder there is no Hotel California. But anyways, the past few years I've been playing with them, and we didn't play for a few years. Now, past few years, we've been playing a bunch of shows, and his thing was just, here's a live concert, and I did not go back and listen to the Eagles' mega hits in the studio versions. I just took his concert and listened to his drummer at the time and charted all the stuff out. Like, that's what he's used to. Not going, that's the easiest way to get in here and make people happy. Don't change shit up where they're like, oh, what's, and you don't know how anal are they about kick beats, kick patterns, how anal are they about fills, exact fills, or you don't really know. You just kind of got to go, well, I should stick really close to what the drummer's doing in this live concert.
Right. And then if they tell you, hey, you can kind of branch out a little bit more or whatever, it is smart move, man. I got it.
Yeah. And but rarely, I just think, because I do my homework, because I'm like, the quicker I'm doing things right, the quicker I can be comfortable, everybody can be comfortable, and the less people have to think about me and worry about me. The less I have to be noticed in a way with a question mark at the end. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Like, as opposed to an exclamation point. I want the exclamation point. I don't want the question mark.
Right.
I want Coverdale up there with a question mark. I want Coverdale up there all night long. Exclamation point.
Right.
It's about me, and that's all he gets.
Yeah.
And and every so often somebody might say, do this or that,
right.
or whatever. That's just natural stuff, when you're in a band. But.
Yeah. I got another question here. This one's from Dakota Redmond, who's also a drummer out of DFW. He says, you project confidence and control even in chaos. Has that always been natural for you, or was there a time when performing live actually felt intimidating for you?
The only time it was intimidating as far as performing was, as a little kid, the first time I was on stage, playing a drum set, which was like with the school band. I think I played an actual drum set for a song, but there was a full band there, and they gave me a little solo. So I was like, oh, I really got to like do this thing, whatever it was. But I think the first time I was intimidated, with stage fright or whatever, was I got to do a drum solo at a school, what do you call it, the talent show, like
yep,
like a quick, okay, next up, I'm bringing my drums up, setting them up, and then the audience is quiet, and you're a drummer on stage by yourself, and you're in 5th grade, so you're like 10 years old, whatever, and and you go into a solo, and you have, but that's really good to get out of your system when you're younger. And then somehow I was allowed to go play at the high school talent show. I was like, oh my God, I'm in a high school auditorium. I was like 7th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. And I have pictures of it. And I just remember being pretty nervous, but as far as the chaos, the control and the chaos, I love that. I love that reckless abandon, but you've put your time in. So like, I like going for it. I like spontaneity, and I like strict, precision and details. And I like them both equally. Don't want to be the same every night. That's really cool. It's really cool if you can go for that and do it. But it's a new day. We take chances. You know what I mean? And it would be like, my mind works like that. I really enjoy just, let's go for something. Like, why not? what's going to happen? You know, I like that side. Or something goes wrong. How are we going to fix this? You know, yeah. And I think I've done enough where I've been in live situations where that's happened, where something happens on stage or a problem or somebody makes a mistake or whatever. How are you going to fix this? That all helps you as well as for being a professional musician. Is
Yeah.
when you know when you get the experiences. All experiences make you better, no matter what it is.
Right.
Good, bad, everything makes you better every single time you do it. And the sooner you get started and you get through those first initial hurdles of a little bit of stage fright. I only get stage fright now when I'm nervous about and feeling like I don't really have it all memorized in my head. That's the technical side. That's like committing stuff to memory. You know what I mean? That makes me nervous. But the actual sitting behind a drum set, I'm like, I got drums around me. That's my wardrobe.
Yeah, best day of the life.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I got a drum set around me. That's already
That's
cool.
so awesome.
And
Yeah.
there's a bit of distance. You know, this
Right.
drum set's sort of separate. You got your own
Protecting
little,
you. Yeah.
my office today or whatever. But it is this little world behind there. There's everything's going on. Nobody else can really see it. And but I always want to be able to it's like my favorite. You know, Simon Phillips, Bozio, the precision of all these guys, the best drummers in the world, pure, you know, the precision. But then there's reckless abandon and that side of things, and I just trying to have fun balancing both. The only way you can balance them both is to have technique, and to be able to improvise. Like you have to. And I always loved that. That was a part of my practice growing up. I had like 3 forms of practice as a kid: play the records and nail it. Like put on Highway to Hell, put on Rush, but don't play Neil to AC/DC. Don't play Phil Rudd to Rush. Play Phil Rudd. Play Alex Van Halen. Practice and nail it. Joey Kramer, Peter Criss, whatever. And then the other one was to overplay. Put on a record and play your own things, right? But try to nail coming out in time, you know? So that was a good form of practice. And then I'd turn the music off and then I'd just solo and I'd make up stuff and go. But this is a lifelong thing. That's why part of me is like, I should practice more because I know I could get a lot better. And some of the guys out there are just so insane. And I'm like, you really did put the time in, like you really did. But I'm a fan of guitar and writing songs, so I'm trying that too,
Yeah.
to do that. But you have to. But I do love technique and speed and flash. It's all cool, like all of it, you know, the whole thing. But you have to be able to improvise. Take your stuff. You got a bag of stuff, and just see if you can go around it. Grab things out of it and flawlessly pick and choose and work. You know, and if you make a mistake, that's one thing I used to do at Berkeley. Make a mistake, I'd stop and I'd make a lick out of it. Like whatever it was, I came out wrong or bad, whatever it was, and I'd figure out why, and I'd do it, and then I'd make it a lick
That's
or an
really
exercise.
that's really cool. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. That's a really smart thing to
So
try.
I'd stop,
Yeah.
or I'd
Yeah.
go, I can't play a samba. My roommate can. These guys can. I can't go do. I can do that, right? And I can go ding 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 ding. But there's a part in the middle where my foot and my right hand are confused, and it's ding 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 right there. Ding 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 ding. That and what? Ding 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 and of two of two. It's just like eluded me when I was 18 because I'd never done that before. I'd never broken up that on a drum set. And then I was like, okay, so what did I do? I took that, you know, the feeling of a double with your foot. Oh, there's one upbeat 16th note with your right. And I made exercises out of it. So when it comes around, it's like, there it is, you know?
That's really cool. That's a good idea, man. Lots of drummers are watching right now, so I know that they appreciate that input and that advice. It's a really good one. I gotta go ahead.
No, just I'm at the age now where it's like, yeah, I got you. You look back because you're like, it is what it is. This is what I do, and I've realized lots of things. And you can't realize things until you get older. You just can't until you've done your life like to a certain place. You can't go, you know, you can't look at your 20s and your 30s the same as you look at your 20s and your 50s. There's no way. It's just like a whole different. Even though it's one life and it doesn't feel like that long ago, and I feel the same. But it's like, well, there's 20 years in between that stuff. You know what I mean? So I look at it differently, and now I can say yes. Like I can realize and make sense of things quicker and easier because of experiences and time going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's true. I mean, I definitely don't look at the way I drummed the same now as I as I did when I was like in my 30s, looking back into my 20s or whatever. It's all different. You gain so much through the years and through your experiences and the different types of bands you play with and styles of music and whatnot. Totally, yeah.
And when we're talking about, oh, like what was your, like, and whatever, you asked me a question, I was like, oh, none of them. It's like, it sounds like a slight, but it's not. It's like, because I really have amazing experiences, like
Yeah.
with so many different bands, and just everybody goes like for me, the biggest, oh, you played with Foreigner, Whitesnake, Billy Idol, Ozzy. Those are big names everybody knows, right? So you
Right.
said, but it's like the other stuff I've done with maybe artists that maybe their name isn't as instantly recognizable, but they're big artists. It's like the experiences. It's like none of it has been bad. Like I've done like things that I would dream of as a kid, like even playing with Gene Simmons right now. Like that's just crazy. Like I'm an older dude. It's Gene. We're cool. Like but I'm a Kiss freak.
Right,
My life
right.
in drums and music
It's-
started with your band.
It sounds like I'm talking to Matt Starr right now. He's the same thing about Ace, and everything. And it's like it's crazy to look at that and hear you guys both talk about that. It's freaking nuts, man.
Yeah. So though, and you don't know when something like that's going to happen, because
Yeah.
the more you do it, the more you've proven yourself, the more you're out there and working, and people hopefully say
Yeah.
good stuff about you. That translates into maybe other experiences, and you
Right.
don't know. You wake up one day and you get an opportunity to go do something that you never did before, or
Yeah.
with somebody that you can't imagine working with, that or an idol of yours, or a legend, or whatever.
Right.
So that's none of. I'm not taking anything away from any of it. I'm just saying, me in New Jersey as a kid
Right.
was my own band, like Maiden
Right.
and Rush
Well,
and
plus that
Zeppelin
keeps you
and
like
Aerosmith.
pushing
Madison Square
forward.
Garden
Like
sold out.
you're not
Yeah.
just like okay, I'm done. I'm just gonna kind of live in this. Like you're always shooting for the next thing. So I think it's
And I
actually really good.
Yeah, I still will. I just you're more of a realist now. Like, and I'm also, my mind is different. Like, it's a little more accepting. And as time goes on, some of the things you wanted or you thought about might not have as much importance, because it's kind of comes. I mean, I think about it a lot. And it's just like, I'm glad that I've done this stuff, and I'm glad that I can walk around a little more comfortably with who I am, because I've done stuff. I've proven myself in for decades being a rock drummer, and that's what I wanted to be. So that's comforting. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like
no
reassuring
doubt. Yeah.
that. But that doesn't mean I think I'm all that. It doesn't mean. But then I think I'm some kind of badass. But then there's the part of me that's like, dude, you've lived, eaten, and breathed this your whole
Right.
life, and the truth is, as I sit here, which took me, maybe this is another thing I didn't think about until like a year or two ago, was uh, maybe the reason I'm hard on myself and don't think it's that special, even though things are cool, like it's all good. I'm not like, it's like, I'm not trying to make it sound like so too heavy, but the truth is, I do believe at 20 years old, everything I've done up to now as a drummer, I could have done at 20 with no experience. Like I was so focused, and the years at Berkeley, getting turned on to funk and fusion and jazz and all the different stuff I could do, it was so intense. Like bam, it was just relentless. 6 nights a week, 6 hours a night in the practice rooms. Like I didn't party, I didn't go out. That was it. Like 6. And if I wasn't playing drums, I was playing guitar in my room, learning, trying to practice Steve Vai and learning all this crap from this shred, 80s shred. I was like trying. So like I was hardcore. Nothing else matters. Yeah, but but that's what I wanted to do, and so I gave myself no excuses. Like there's no reason to not be able to cut every freaking gig that involves rock drums. I have no excuse, nothing. And I thought that then, and I'd also be like, Bonham was 20 when he recorded Led Zeppelin 1. What's my excuse? Come on, I'm 20.
Right.
Go.
Dude,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you get in your 20s, you're kind of looking at new bands coming up, especially like late 80s. These guys might not be that much older than you. A year or two older. Like you're seeing the Nirvanas come out, the Alice Chains, all the grunge stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm 21, whatever. Like I got to get my shit together. I got to get a band. I got to do this. Like, or figure out this music business. Like, how do you get a gig? How do you do this? And but ability wise, I do think I don't go and listen to myself. I don't have like old stuff I listened to of me playing, but I know what I was doing back then. And I used to listen to everything I did, record everything, and analyze it, and be anal about it. And I was really, nobody would be as hard on my drumming as me. There's no way. So I heard every nook and cranny of every little thing. So I think I was well prepared. If I got opportunities at that age, so it's like, yeah, cool. I've done fun stuff, done cool things as a drummer, but you know, I could have done it when I was 20. So in that respect, I still need to prove a lot to myself.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I got you.
It's not about, well, I want to prove to myself I can do 250 BPMs on double kicks. Like I never was the guy who put the time in. I just was more like, I'd rather learn an Eddie Van Halen like a guitar, or I'd rather maybe learn how to sing a note and tune or something, or I'd rather get a freaking snare drum sound, and that 2 and 4 makes me, excited like DeRozier and Bonham and Van Halen. It's like the Bruford, like the color Peter Chris's snare, like when I hear a snare, or the excitement when you listen to My Sharona. Oh my God, like, is that just not perfect? Is it not perfect? It's perfect. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's insane, that drum track. And I'm like, it might not be like the hardest drum track, but the spirit of
Right.
drumming.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's totally
Those
there.
things, those excite me. That stuff excites me more than, getting to the next level of insane technique or speed,
Right.
which I still think is like,
Yeah.
I want to be able to play fast. You guys want to hear something funny? If there's any drummers listening,
There's a lot of drummers listening.
This is freaking cool, because my dad is very talented. Like, he's jock and a musician, so he could play piano and sing. He could play guitar. When he was in college, he was like singing harmonies with acoustics in the bathrooms with Jim Croce, like in Villanova. Like, he had this, but he was a jock, like freaking sports guy, right? So he was very talented. Showed me my first chords on his guitar. He could play a beat on drums, all this stuff. So I go downstairs one day, and I don't know what triplets are, but I learned to teach myself triplets. I'm playing triplets like Detroit Rock City. Do. You know what I mean? I don't know yet that I'm playing triplets.
Right.
And I go downstairs, and I learned on my drums, I went, just a single stroke every third accent. So it's like figure 8, right to left, right to left. I went, and I was like, that feels cool. Whatever. It's like young. I'm like, whatever. Young. So I go downstairs to my dad. And I go, Dad, check it out. And he's sitting at the kitchen table. And I go, check it out. And I go, and I showed him the triplets. And I was like, he's going to be like, that's pretty cool, man. It's like shifting, you're, accenting on the either side. And he goes, yeah, right. And he just does fast triplets faster than me.
Oh,
right?
no, man. What's up with that?
So I'm like, I thought I was the drummer. I thought I was showing my dad something cool about drums.
Yeah.
He just did it faster than me. So I was like, and I'm very competitive. So I go upstairs and I'm like, well, screw that. I'm the drummer. I'm the one with the drums. So immediately I was like, I have to smoke him speed-wise. I have to. There's no way my dad doesn't play drums and go faster. So immediately I'm like, right, I start working on that. And I'm like, okay, off the snare into the toms, onto the cymbals. I got to get this triplet stuff together, man. My dad can't do this. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, wait, what if I want to hear the snare accented? Okay, I'm on the floor tom. And that's when I learned a crossover. Your basic, just that. But I was like, I got that thing fast. I might have been able to do it faster at 10 years old than I could do it now. You know what I mean?
Dang, yeah.
But I was hardcore, like that was technique. As a little kid, that was all technique. Don't hit rims. Crossovers, don't hit rims. You know what I mean? Unless you're hitting a rim shot. You better be hitting a rim shot on your 2 and 4. You know what I mean? Man, I don't know who told me about rim shots. I just knew the snare sounds more badass.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, when you're nailing that rim shot. God, man.
I don't understand how you can, well, that's the sound. You get Bruford, Van Halen, Peter Chris, Jerry Shirley. If you haven't listened to his snare from Humble Pie, just go to freaking 30 Days in the Hole. Listen to the snare. What's his face? Simon from Simon Kirk, Bad Company. 1, 2, 3, yep, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Yep. So the rim shots. If you don't have a freaking rim shot that is just dead on, like you need to. You want to play 2 and 4? You want to play rock? Your rim shot. It's got to be dead on, and it's just flams too. Clap. Like it's just so and the feeling when you first do a rim shot, you feel it shoot through your arm, which I'm like, what I think we're all used to as drummers. But when you first get it, you go, ooh, it's a little pop, pop, it's a little extra, makes your body rumble a little bit. You know, it's like it's bigger, it's bigger.
Oh, it sounds so different. It feels so different too, man.
And if you miss one, or you miss a snare entirely, which has happened,
Of
if you're
course.
good at it, like if you're good at it, well, there's a drop. Listen to the Cars. Just I guess it's just
Just
what
what
I
I
needed.
needed.
He drops a snare and they left it in there. They didn't even fix it. There's a snare. When he comes in, it's but then somewhere right in the beginning, could be first 4 bars or something. 2 and 4, one of the 2s or 4s is gone. It's just not there. But it's like that's crazy. But see, that's what I'm saying. They weren't. People were.
There wasn't somebody like going and grabbing it and copying it and pasting it into that spot because it was missing.
Is that the biggest car song? There's a missing 2 and 4. That wouldn't happen today. Like
Right.
it's just a different mentality. Everything was so real back then. But yeah. So but if you're good at your rim shots, which is really important, then it just keeps everybody on stage hears that, and that becomes, you know, there's an average to your snare like that, and you got to hit a good rim shot. I think there's some guys that maybe try hard and the snare starts to, I don't know, sound a little like offensive or something, but you got to hit the good one, find the sweet spot. But if you miss it, you'll be watching the guitar player in front of you rocking out in front of the stage, and you miss a 2 and 4,
Yep.
and you're like, I've watched it happen. I miss something, like they're just playing rhythm. They're all locked up, and the two, you miss a 2 or 4, they kind of just go, you could feel them like stutter a little bit, and then turn around and go like,
Stink eye.
like, is everything all right, dude? You know? And then you have to look at a part of your drum set or blame it on something
Right,
else.
right. You're like, oh, I hit something.
My stick broke.
Yeah.
Or I was messing, there was a mic in the wrong place. I was trying to move something. Like, you always got an excuse. It wasn't me, but it's like, you know, it does suck.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
But,
I gotta get. I know we're kind of over in time right now. I just realized it, but I definitely want to ask you one thing, Brian. You know, we were talking off camera about Bonzo Bash that you used to do back around NAMM times. You stopped doing those. I guess it was like maybe before COVID something. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. And God, man, I freaking loved going to those. You know, it's such a cool event for people who had never gone. Just to describe it a bit, it's essentially a all night of Led Zeppelin. They've got like a Led Zeppelin tribute band who is the backing band, and then Brian got like all of his friends, all the celebrity drummers around, to come in and each play a couple of songs, couple of Zeppelin songs each, on this Led Zeppelin. You know, the Ludwig, you know, this saw like all
the amber acrylic.
Yeah,
Ludwig,
amber, not clear, but clear amber, Ludwig, and so amazing, gong, the whole 9, everything was there, and
two timpanis. I think you put the S after one timpani. You don't say 2 timpani. I think you say timpanis.
timpanis or timpani.
Yeah, it's like, because it sounds like, you know, like I saw a bunch of deer. There were 2 deer in front of me. It's just deer, right? There's no S.
Right.
But like in timpani world, it sounds like you could say, yeah, I there were 10 timpani there. I had to pick one. I think you say timpanis.
We'll have to look this up and confirm afterwards. But it was such a cool event, like, and especially having it right around NAMM, you know, like all the musicians on the planet are in Anaheim at that time. And so everybody, all the drummers that were there, we would all just flock to your event. I mean, you had everybody, and you had the red carpet a lot of the times. You had the meet and greets, things like that.
Yeah,
such a cool event.
Yeah. Thank you for enjoying it.
Oh, dude.
When I first thought of it,
yeah,
it just sounded like such a good idea. But the first one wasn't supposed to be a show. It was literally getting a keg of beer or a bunch of beer and going and getting a rehearsal room and
just having your buds over, you know, right?
Is Zeppelin, like, just go get a room and call drummers and go, come in and jam Zeppelin, and we'll just hang out. Like, that was the idea. And I was like, you know, I'm in LA, so I'm like, okay, this guy, you know, like, yeah, we could all do this, like that, you know, it'll be fun. Then I'm like, if we're doing this and everybody's actually there, with that list, like that kind of list of drummers,
right?
Wouldn't that be something people would want to see? And
oh yeah, man,
wouldn't the drummers want to play in front of people? Like, wouldn't it be even more cool? I'm like, I'll get the kit, you know, the Ludwig amber acrylic Vista lights, and timpani and gong and all that stuff, and And then I talked to my buddy who became my partner. He was like a promoter in town. He was working at the Key Club. He was there, and he had the Key Club on Saturday, September 25th, 2010, the 30th anniversary of Bonham's passing. So I was like, he said, let me talk to the club. Yeah, they'll give you that. Just make sure you get good names because like it's a Saturday night.
Right,
And,
right.
oh my God, the first one was, I said 20 drummers, 20 songs. And it was, everybody picks one song. So there's minimal pressure on the drummers. Like, and we have rehearsals. So it was always like, the rehearsals were the shows were always great,
Oh,
and
that's
the
fun.
behind the drums
Yeah.
hang
Uh-huh.
was always the best. Like the best hang was when the show's going on and you're backstage behind, because it was just it's so much fun. But at one point we got up to I think 33, 34 drummers in one show, and that's why they went 5 hours.
Well, that's
But
what I was gonna
everybody
say. Is it was nonstop too, right? Like you didn't have any breaks, man. You guys would just play and play.
We just go. But everybody, I mean, it's John Bonham. Everybody loves Zeppelin, the band, and everybody there. Like, and the hang was great just because there was no competition.
Right.
We're all getting on the same drum set.
Right.
There's 3 drum techs. That was another thing. At least 3. We had 3 measuring everybody's stuff from rehearsals, seat heights, snare heights, cymbals. Like it was a thing. But everybody really wanted it to be fun and easy. And I've done, we've all done shows like that, and I always wanted it to be as painless and fun as possible for anybody involved. I'm not doing this. It's not a charity. It's not a benefit. It's literally, I freaking love John Bonham the most of all drummers, and we all do. Wouldn't it just be cool to just do a hang?
Yeah,
and do
honor
this? So it was like,
that stuff,
come
man.
on.
Yeah.
I don't want anything from you except send me your top, I think 5 songs. Send me your top 5, 3 maybe, whatever it was. So in case one's taken, I can go to number 2.
Right.
And go, all right, somebody took the ocean. You want something to say, whatever. And yeah, it was, and I got to meet become way better friends with a lot of drummers I didn't know, and some of my idols became a part of the show, and some even a lot of great stories. I think it was like 10 years, 2010 to 19.
Yeah.
Many, and it was NAMM was the perfect place for it because
Oh, yeah.
here we are at a venue and everybody's coming from around the world.
Right.
So now you can take advantage of, all the different drummers that aren't in LA,
Yeah. And
that was-
I mean, you even had more like celebrity drummers just kind of like walking around who wanted to be there to hang out and watch everybody play or to hang out with you guys or whatever. So it's just like this huge, combination of all these drummers in town getting together to really honor John Bonham and jam to that. It's so cool, man. Have you ever thought of doing it again or bringing it back up again?
Probably not, because it's what it started out was purely a drummer with a little idea of hanging with drummers playing Zeppelin. It was that simple, right? But then it becomes, which it has to. Like there's sponsors and business and crew and people working, and it's just like, and I always had to. I was doing like 5, 6, 7 jobs at once. Like I was in the middle of everything because I was like, and the reason I did it every year, I'd be like, it's just okay, we'll do it again. And it was because this is the one place I'm the full-blown boss. Like this is the one place I can do whatever I want. I can keep it really organized. I can improvise. I can change shit. I can, you know what I mean? I don't have to answer anybody. So that's just for that show. It was a nice little thing to have.
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on.
No, it's killer,
just
man.
knowing that the end result was always a fun show. There was like no drama with drummers and everybody. Like just if you didn't experience that or you hadn't ever experienced it, to be in the center of that with all these buddies and drummers and everything's just so like innocent and pure. It really is. It's just like this is what we do with our lives, but there's no. It's not a drum festival. It's not like, okay, this drummer is going to show his stuff and he's going to, it's like we're all just playing one freaking Zeppelin song. We all love Zeppelin. You know what I mean? So it's a different mentality, different way of being a part of an event. And some drummers would get nervous. Like it was like, whoa.
Well, I mean, you could see why, because it's like it's a large crowd and it's mostly all drummers. So you know that everybody's like watching and going, okay, don't screw up John Bonham,
Yeah, but it's kind of, I guess it just depends on how anal you want to be about yourself, or because I was, there are, there's all your online critics that go, oh, this, you played it too fast. I'm like, you ever hear some of the bootlegs? Like, you haven't probably listened to as many bootlegs as I have. Why don't you do the double foot thing in Kashmir? Like, okay, show me one bootleg of Bonham Live where he does a double. He doesn't. He doesn't. So what was going on in the studio? Did he just do it in the studio and he abandoned it? Like, I don't know everything, but that's a good question for George Flutis. I'm gonna write George and ask him. He is the shit. That's a legitimate question. We have had lots of talks about a lot of things, Bonham. I don't think we got into the double on Kashmir yet, but yeah, you can't worry about this stuff. It's like whatever. It's one night. It's just like I've got like 200 Zeppelin bootlegs, and I've listened to so much, and I hear all the different ways. But Bonham is always killer. It's always killer, but it's never the same, and that's why it's awesome. And that was great about music and rock back in the day. It was every show's different, even if it's Rush. It's like Rush is really trying to dial in like an exact show almost every night. As whatever what I do with Don Felder or when I was with Billy, even Whitesnake. I mean, most bands you've rehearsed, you're playing every night, you're delivering a similar show. But in the case of like certain bands, there's freedom to go for things. In the world of Zeppelin, there's always freedom to let a little loose in one way or another. Show after show. Some bands aren't like that. And I think that's another reason Zeppelin was amazing. But
that's killer, man. Well,
it's all fun stuff.
I definitely want to give you a shout out about that. It's such a cool show, man. Just super unique, and I love the variety of drummers that you had. You had some female drummers out there a few times too, which was cool. So what's the next? Yeah. What's the next tour you're going to be doing next year, or who can folks see you with coming up anytime soon?
It's like scattered stuff, right? I have I've been doing shows with Don Felder here and there, which is always a lot of fun. It's like an insane set list of Eagles, and it's an exercise in restraint as far as a drummer, as far as like, don't hit hard, don't swing around, don't add, you play for like Eagles drumming, which if you really listen to it, classic, tasty 70s bat. It's just great. Don Henley. It's just, so anyways, it's a different world than hard rock stuff or hard hitting gigs. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to raise my hands to you. I just want to I want to be where I'm supposed to be in that world. Right. I want to show restraint, that's why I like doing that gig, because you might go, oh, he's a beast. He's a heavy metal basher. It's like, yeah, like when the time is right, let's go for it.
Right, yeah.
Like,
you got to be able to. You got to adapt. Yeah, you got to adapt. I mean? Yeah, totally, man.
So, anyways, been doing shows with him. I have there'll be more Gene Simmons stuff next year. We got one Love Ride thing coming up in a few weeks this year. Then there's some more in the works for next year, and going to. What am I doing? Something else coming. Oh, George Lynch. I play with George Lynch's Lynch Mob thing. We got shows this weekend and next weekend. So he's kind of rotating people. Like if I'm available, I do it. If I can't, like I can't because of the Gene overlapping thing. So yeah, there's like Felder, there's Gene Simmons, there's Lynch Mob, and then Dean DeLeo, guitar player from Stone Temple Pilots, has a new band called One More Satellite. I'm the drummer on most of the record, and he just put it out like a month ago, and it's really cool stuff. And we're doing shows coming up. Like in a couple weeks, we're doing some rehearsing at a few shows in California, which is great because it's a brand new thing. But like I said, I'm on most of the record, and I've known Dean for a long time, and the singer Pete is killer, and we've known each other a long time. So it's going to be a lot of fun to get together and do that. So that's a start. That's a brand new thing that will probably continue next year. And then I go to Japan with Michael Schenker in January, which I get to play the Budokan. I've never been.
Wow, that's killer, man. That's awesome.
So that's, because I played on his last my years with UFO records. Like he redid all these songs, UFO songs, and I did that. So we're doing 3 shows in Japan, and then that's it. I mean, between all those things, there's a couple of things in the works. But I guess, what, really, not most importantly, but what I should make note of is I'm 8 out of 10 songs done with my solo record, meaning it's me here in my house with drums in a studio and a loft and everything I need to make a rock record on Pro Tools.
That's freaking awesome, man.
But I used to have a band where I played guitar and sang a long time ago, and I had a record in Japan. I had as we're going for it, I was like, screw this, I'm just gonna go for it. And then life goes on. You have kids, and things change, and one of the labels folded right before the record came out. It's long, anyways, a long time ago. So I'm like, I've been procrastinating for way too long, and that's something that's been on my personal list of like, I just want to put a solo record out. So it's everything. It's like guitar, bass, drums, vocals, like mix, produce. Well, no, I'll mix it with somebody else, but like engineer, produce. Like I got a couple friends, and my buddy Derek Sherinian on keyboards. He's on a couple tracks. Like it's so like, because we've known each other so long. He's heard some of my stuff, and so there are a couple friends. But as far as producers or suggestions, it's just me sitting here going, I just want to make my own record and see what happens. Not to take over the world, not to start a band and go out and tour, just to put music out and go, this is my little thing. This is me screaming, trying to hit notes over riffs and hopefully big drum sounds and guitar craziness and shit and big riffs. I love riffs. So I think I told myself I should have been done 2 months ago or something. But I got 2 more songs to go, and so I said at the end, December. I don't have much work in December. I'm gonna finish this record. I already got I'm like, okay, that's the first single. That's it. I don't care if I write the next Hotel California. That's the first singer, or the next My Sharona. That's the single, and that's the video. So right around New Year's, I'm gonna do a video, figure out a distribution thing with whoever, and get it out. I guess by the spring. Just got to do it. And the more you talk about it, the more like you got to do it. Like you keep saying it. You know what I mean? You got to do it. So I'm too far down the road now to turn around, which is a good thing.
No, that's awesome. I think that's awesome, especially like I know that's a goal of yours, and you've accomplished so many, and you got more to come in the future. And I guess anybody wants to know about what's going on with Brian Tichy, they can find you on any of the socials, right? You got Instagram, Facebook. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah, it's all. Yeah, I even have a TikTok. Anything I throw on the other ones, I throw on there.
Cool,
I don't even look at TikTok. I just throw it up there.
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of stuff everywhere. But I just need a name. It's like the logical thing is to call it Brian Tichy or just Tichy.
Right.
But I'm like, maybe a name would be cool, but it's not a band. It's just me. So really, like, because I have so many friends, like I watch them putting out their records, and I'm like, they might be associated with bigger bands or have the other things they do, but they put out their own music, and it's not about I'm going to take over the world with a big hit single, or it's like I'm just being creative. It's just I put my music out, and I've been doing it for decades, and I have a fan base because I've been doing it, and I'm good at what I do, but maybe I'm not flavor of the month or trying to fit in. I just do my world, and I have great respect for all the people that do that, like it could be John Five or Richie Kotzen or you know what I mean, like guys that just have their own worlds. They put their stuff out, and that's it. So I want to have
you gotta let me know. Yeah, let me know when you do release it. I want to be sure and let folks know on Breast Cancer Can Stick It World. We got decent following over there and other places. You can pop it out there and let everybody know, especially since you've been on the show. But man, dude, thank you so much for taking the time out tonight to hang out with us. And like we were talking earlier, I want to get you down here for Drumathon 1 year. We'll see if the schedules line up appropriately. Would love to have you. It's kind of a different spin on what you did with Bonzo Bash. It's similar in that we have multiple drummers get up. We have 2 drum sets, and people get up and play together, and people can donate to get on stage with drummers and whatnot. It's a really cool event, raising funds to fight breast cancer. So and you just being here, Brian, helps raise awareness because people found us here because maybe they wanted to see you and hear from you, and so they're here on our channel and learning about Breast Cancer Can Stick It. So man, thank you so much for being a part of the show this evening, and I look forward to chatting with you again. So keep us posted on that release, okay?
Sure. And when your event is close, like a week or two?
It's a God, dude, I hate when you say it, but it is true. It's about a week and a half away, November the 2nd at Lexus Box Garden at Legacy Hall in Plano, Texas, just a little bit north of Dallas, about 20 minutes. So it's going to be a great show, man, and love to have you out sometime. Anytime you want to come out, let us know. We'll keep in touch with you, and I'll keep hassling you.
No, north of Dallas. I was just there I think it was south of Dallas. No, it was the other. It's not Dallas. Fort Worth. Billy
Okay.
Bob, big ass club called,
yeah, totally, yeah.
Played there like a month ago. But
Very cool.
well, I hope you have a great time with everybody there,
Well,
and I
thank
hope
you,
it's a
man.
success, and you raise a lot of awareness, and you know, do as good a job as it can be, and you know, keep making people aware of all that stuff,
Yeah, man.
and you know, just good luck with everything. I'm sure it'll be great. You've done it
I
many times.
I really appreciate it, man, so much. And like I said, I'll hit you up next year, and we'll get you down here one of these years, and it'll be a great time. But we'll keep an eye on you and watch out for that release, man. Congratulations on it, and I hope to talk to you real soon.
Thank you very much.
Take care, man.
Okay.
All right, everybody, give it up for Brian Tichy, man. Very cool to get him on the show this evening. I should have brought him on earlier so you could have heard some of that Spanish fly because that was pretty dang cool. But I'm going to play a little bit here about Drumathon 2025 coming up. Check this out, and I'll be back on the flip side.
It's a beautiful Sunday here in North Texas. Welcome to Drumathon!
Well, that was the recap from 2024 and ended on a note telling you guys that, again, Drumathon is coming up November the 2nd. It is presented by Lexus Box Garden at Legacy Hall in association with Roland. We're so grateful for all of our many sponsors. Man, I want to give a big shout out to Izzy, the producer of the Beat broadcast, who got everything all set up for us this evening. Had a great lineup this evening. We're going to have our next broadcast coming up the third Tuesday in November. So be sure to watch out for that. We'll be promoting who's going to be on the show at that time here soon. And in the meantime, man, make a note on your calendar. Write it in black, bold ink if you're still writing on a calendar. And note Drumathon 2025, November the 2nd. Legacy Hall, Plano, Texas. Please come out to that. Now we're going to spin a quick video that shows you everybody who is going to be there. So watch this. Now keep a close eye on the names changing on the screen so you can see who's going to be there. Check this out. All right, guys, that about does it for us, man. What a great evening. I want to thank Allison, our breast cancer survivor warrior who was on the show at the beginning. If you missed it, please watch the replay. Also, you'll be able to catch this on all the podcast streaming channels that are out there. Be sure to find us on all the social medias. We're out there everywhere. This show is broadcast on multiple platforms. So if you did join late, be sure to catch it on any of the other platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and we've got all the podcast streaming as well. So be sure to check that out. Thanks again to Allison, who is our warrior survivor on the show this evening, and to Brian Tichy, drummer from Whitesnake, Foreigner, Billy Idol, Gene Simmons Band, tons of groups like that. So amazing to have him on the show. What a great time. And be sure and spread the word about the Beat broadcast. And we look forward to seeing you guys at Drumathon, November the 2nd. Lexus Box Garden at Legacy Hall. We'll see you there. Have a great night, guys.